Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Hey, it's Friday!
What's happening?
Wow.
What is
You're not
going
going to
on?
believe this, guys. Right before the show started, G said Peyton Hillis was the third best Browns player ever. I can't believe
See, I told you he's going to set me up. That's why I ain't say nothing to him when I came in here.
Hey, he said Joe Charbonneau's the third best Indians of all time.
Hey, man, look, Captain Knee Jerk. Captain Knee Jerk.
You regret that? Because you know Brad's coming for you.
Hey, no, listen, here's the thing. I got some ammunition. I came in and said,
You did some research.
yeah, I said, come on, man. This is closer to what y'all making them be
This
like.
is my dog. I'm never coming for my dog, but when I heard it, I was like,
Huh. Yeah.
I did like this.
Yeah,
Jay,
school 'em up.
Look,
Hey,
get
we can
get
love
my
each
face,
other
Jay. I was
for
like this. I was like,
disagreeing.
That's right.
And we do that often.
That's right.
Now, you
you're
know,
talking to a guy who Cleveland Arena, Coliseum,
Yeah, and you remember the old dudes like
yeah.
I do.
Gun Arena,
y'all, you see,
Quicken Loans.
just
I've
because
seen it all, dude.
Hell, Richfield.
I said the Coliseum.
Oh, okay.
I said you're missing a bunch of people here.
We'll get into that.
just because they live right beside y'all don't mean that they was good.
We've got a busy show today. First of all, I want to start by saying happy 87th birthday to the great Jim Brown.
Oh yes.
He's 7. Happy birthday.
87 years old.
We
today.
didn't wish Tyvis a happy birthday. Yesterday was his birthday.
I felt terrible about that.
Yeah.
I forgot to do it during the show. I did text him after the show.
Yeah.
But I forgot during the show. So Tyvis, happy belated birthday.
I wished him a happy birthday Wednesday. Does that
he was
count?
It was early.
Yeah.
No,
Count?
because you got to do it on
Do I
the
have to-
day
Should I
of.
have called him again?
What's he got?
It's better than the day after,
What's he got? A birthday calendar?
No, I just know when he was here Wednesday, he mentioned it.
Oh,
was
he
his
Yeah,
mentioned
he
birthday.
had
it.
said,
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
Tyvis is
But
one of those
you know
cats.
what?
He's
I
going to let
actually-
you know.
I
when his
actually
birthday
do have a
is.
birthday calendar.
It is. Facebook
But I
does it.
haven't added you guys in yet. I need to add you guys into my
4th of
birthday
July.
calendar.
4th of July for
Yeah,
me.
I'll even show. I'll show you. It's like I have a here.
Oh, you do.
Oh, that's my password.
I just watched Born on the 4th
See?
of July
Oh,
again.
that is.
Great
You
flip.
do.
I got a
Great.
birthday count, birthdays
Tom
and events
Cruise,
right
man.
there.
That's pretty
I know.
sick.
Didn't get
Right?
an award for
That's
that.
pretty
Nah,
nice.
I don't
That's
know
what
how
I,
he didn't get it.
you know. But I
That's
got to
pretty
add
nice.
all you guys.
That's
into
pretty
that.
nice.
We'll do that later. Yeah, you know, you can do that in contacts.
You can too, but I have a spreadsheet because I love
He got a
spreadsheets.
he got a real spreadsheet.
I got a
He
spreadsheet
loves
with big
spreadsheets.
events.
Yes,
like,
he does. I like.
That's great.
That's
You can
pretty
also
impressive.
add them in your calendar.
I know.
But you like spreadsheets.
I like my calendar to not. You know, I put so much stuff in my calendar. I try to keep other things out of the
That's
calendar.
fair. That's fair.
pretty-
You know what I'm saying?
So happy birthday
That's pretty
to
impressive.
Jim Brown. We saw him at the NFL
like that.
Honors Show
I like that.
Thank you.
a week ago yesterday.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's obviously battling some sort of illness. So,
Right.
Jim, we're thinking about you. Happy birthday. Stephen A. Smith coming on the program in the second hour of the program. He's written a new book. And I will tell you this, before we bring him in, Stephen A. is an intensely private cat. Like, you don't really, he's got a very small circle, and he really doesn't talk on air about, you know, what's going on in his life and his personal life. Tries to keep that pretty close. So I know that this was a challenge for him because he writes it all. He talks about the relationship with his mother, the relationship with his father, how both motivated him to become the success that he is. None of it's by accident. This dude is one of the hardest workers I've ever known in my life. And I know it seems like an oxymoron. How do you work hard in a suit? This dude does it, man. He's up sometimes 20 hours a day doing live shots in all portions of the day, morning, afternoon, late at night. You're going to see him all over the screen. You're going to see him here at 12:15 after he wraps up First Take. And that usually takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and he'll jump on with us as soon as he can. Bull's bet of the day. You nailed another one yesterday, my friend.
Yeah, we don't have a bet today.
No, but I just
there's
wanted to
some
give you
technical
credit
difficulties, but yes,
for yesterday.
Ohio State got destroyed.
3 in a row that you've hit?
Yeah, I'm on fire right
Yeah,
now.
Brad, what's wrong with the
Buckeyes.
Buckeyes?
They are
Oh,
terrible.
listen.
We-
Let me
the Buckeyes.
here.
They're mailing it in.
They're not mailing it here. They're bad. They're very bad. I can't remember. I was just talking to I was talking to Dennis Hobson the other day. I can't remember Ohio State being this awful. But part of
Yeah.
it goes down
Yeah.
to, and I will say this, right? And this is not disparaging anybody. I'm a Buckeye through and through, except when we play the Terps here, right? But
Right, I know.
But I tell you this. You couldn't tell me those guys they got on that team. I couldn't find them in East Cleveland, Cincinnati,
Facts.
Dayton, or something else.
Facts.
I got to go to Hawaii and get a guy.
Facts. I don't know
And then
where
I
they
said, some of these
recruiting.
dudes couldn't play. I'm gonna be
you wanna fire
honest.
the coach?
Some of these dudes couldn't play dead at a funeral. I'm gonna just tell you that.
Do they need a new coach, Brad?
Listen, when you take the mantle of the ship, there's certain responsibilities that are required here, right?
Yeah.
And Chris, I like him.
Why isn't he recruiting Ohio more?
This is how you recruit. You got to have people who are recruiters. You do.
And build relationships with the
you
area
do.
high school
and
coaches.
you have to know the area.
Well, isn't it more about the AAU coaches these days?
It
in high
is, yeah,
school?
absolutely. But
it's
you got to
here.
build those
But
relationships.
you have to have those here. And I just
Right.
say this, and I'm here. And I like Chris, I like his staff, but and this is a business of getting it done. Either you do or you don't.
Results
and
oriented.
and if you
I
don't,
believe when we had him on, he said that very thing.
and if you don't in Columbus, it doesn't
Yeah.
last long.
That's
right?
right.
You're right.
Right. And then one of the problems that I have with the way it's being run today is there's no linkage and lineage between past and the present.
You're not
right?
asked to come back and do anything.
I
are
like,
you?
man, I get asked more to come back to Maryland than I do to Ohio
That's
State.
sad.
And
By
that's
the way,
just because you're tied with your dog.
Right.
By the way, speaking of women's
That is sad.
basketball, I know, Brad, you talk about women's basketball, WNBA a lot. I just wanted to mention, and bad job out of me, I can't even think of her name. This woman who's playing for Villanova.
Maddie Seacrest.
People hearing this
Yeah,
story?
Maddie
what is
Seacrest is a killer.
She scored like 50 points.
Yes, Maddie
I think she scored over 20 like a bunch of games
Maddie
in a row.
Seacrest plays for Villanova. She's a great guard.
What's her
plays
name?
Maddie Seacrest. Maddie
Seacrest.
Seacrest.
Okay. I thought you were
And
saying secrets. I'm
right.
like, yeah, she's
And
a secret. I haven't heard of her
And
yet.
so what she does is she can just flat out score, right?
Shooter?
Yeah. And so she's going to be drafted, and they've got her projected in the mock NBA, WNBA draft, right? She's worked behind the scenes because Villanova doesn't have a knockout team.
Right.
But when you
She's
look up,
turning heads.
she'll have 39. She'll have 40.
Wow.
And so,
Very nice.
And so she's really quietly getting it done.
McNuggets has to take care of the Bet Rivers read.
Yes.
Yeah, so we didn't get a bet from Bet Rivers today. We'll get back to that on Monday, but I'm curious what the line would be for Maddie Seacrest on being drafted in the first round of the upcoming WNBA drafts. Maybe they'll get us a line on that. But hey, Ohio, Bet Rivers Online Sportsbook is the place to be for every single game. Now is the perfect time to join Bet Rivers Sportsbook. When you use this code SPORTS, you receive a second chance bet up to $500. Yep, $500. Get in on all the action with weekly specials on your favorite sports like basketball and hockey to help you win big. Check out BetRivers.com or download the BetRivers app today for the latest lines, odds, and boosts.
So that's what these casinos are doing. They're offering free money in bets.
Yeah.
And I know that McNuggets, you've signed up for like every one of them. Does it work? Does it hook you then, and you're more likely to use that app in the future?
Yeah, so the way it works, and I haven't done this to Bet Rivers yet. I will do it when I like my next bet I love. But essentially, if you sign up and you place a bet and you lose, you get some money back. And then it's like a no-sweat first bet. Now, this one
see.
sounds like it gives you free money. Second chance bet up to $500. So you can bet up to $500 if you don't
So they
win.
want you to come back the second
They
time.
want you to come
not
back the
just
second
first.
time. And they give you usually 2 weeks to use that free credit.
I haven't done any of that. Have the other ones expired?
Yeah, well, it's from when you sign up. So like FanDuel
yeah.
and DraftKings was 2 weeks of the day you signed up. to
So
use.
and those are still out there. So if I were to
if
sign
you
up
still were to
today,
sign up, I'm sure you could still get those.
because I have a
those
very
bet
good friend of
credits.
mine who loves sports but wasn't a big bettor before January 1st, asked me, what's the can't miss rock solid bet that I want to put this 2,000 on? And I said, you're going to want to take Georgia, and I don't care how many points they're giving. Just take Georgia in the national championship game. And he did, and he won. And now he's kind of hooked. You know, he's placing bets every day.
Listen, I'm in the gym, right? And it's funny, and these are just gym guys that can work
Yeah.
out. Man, I'm hearing they're talking about spreads, lines. Here's the thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of cats out here. Hey, I used all my little sports little money up that
You
first
used all the
week.
free ones?
All the free ones.
Did you lose all of it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Lost all of that. And I had some good bets. I had some decent ones, I thought. But guess what the problem is? You know, after that, I was not playing around no more. I'm like, you're not getting me. You're not going to get me on this.
Well, it's
day.
funny. Jason Lloyd, he told us he had $7,000 riding on January 1st.
No, he didn't.
Just
Yes,
on
he
the-
did.
Just on the first.
And by the way, he will describe his own betting habits as dabbling.
He said, yeah, he said it's light. He's just my toe in here.
But I'm a little worried about my man because at the Super Bowl, there was a stretch there when he was getting a little quiet.
Jason had to move from the back row to the front over by the TV.
He had one bet that was making us laugh every time. He said that one of the teams would convert on 4th down. That's the way he read the bet.
Yeah,
the bet was they would pick up a 4th down, convert on a 4th down, but in their own territory.
Man.
So when Philly, I think, went for it on 4th down in Kansas City territory, he thought he had won.
Thought he did it.
And he was celebrating, and the whole room was going nuts for him. Then about 10 minutes later, he kept looking at his phone. They weren't depositing the money.
Oh, boy.
So he went back and read the fine print, and he said, oh, damn. They had to convert a 4th down in their own territory. So he thought he had won that one, but he won the big ones. He had the winner in the point spread and the MVP.
But he had to watch. But he had to watch that whole.
But see,
because he had so many bets.
And the running joke was he had his youngest son with him.
He's
And
at
the running
advanced
joke
level.
was he's going to college depending on how I do on these bets.
Right.
So we were joking, it looks like you're going to be homeschooled the rest of the
that's
way.
crazy.
But then by the end of the game when he won, we said he's got enough for one semester at community
I'm
college.
gonna tell you that you're at an advanced level, right? And
wanna be homeschooled.
you're.
Kids are weird.
I'll bet. I've bet in the past occasionally, right? But it's something about the money slipping away.
Yeah.
I
I'm too fiscally conservative
I can't.
to just start throwing it on 18, 19-year-olds, particularly the college game.
Well, listen.
But
if you would have been with me and bet on Iowa yesterday, you wouldn't be throwing anything away.
no,
You
that
would
was a
have been
big winner.
collecting cash.
And I think the spread was 7.5. They
Yes.
got crushed.
A spread was only 7.5.
Which
Yeah.
my bull jumped on it.
That's stupid.
And it was at Iowa City.
I told.
Ohio State had beaten Iowa a couple of weeks,
yeah.
a month ago. By
They
a
were
lot.
So
different
I
team
was
then.
talking to Ron Stokes, who's the radio announcer for
Yeah.
Ohio State, right? So I
I know
called him
Ron.
about 2 weeks ago. I told Ronnie, I said, look like, Buckeyes had lost like 8 or 9. I said, I'm looking at this schedule here, Ronnie. Looks like you're going to drop 15 of 17, maybe 16 of 17 if it goes the wrong way. Oh, he jumped down my throat. He was my college roommate for a year.
You're on your
right?
way to getting that right.
And he was like, oh, no, this is all wrong. I said, I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
And
we'll talk to you in March.
You're immersed in the midst of it with the crew. I get you where you are, right? You're still getting paid by them, right? Yes, you are. So I said you have to lean that way. I got you.
Yeah.
I said, but my expertise here and what I'm looking at and literally looking at what's upcoming, you're going to take some L's here.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, no. See, because what happened in November? Nope, stop.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
tell me what happened in November.
That was on me, Brad.
I said we got to get back to trending.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
see how
sorry.
you're trending here.
It's not right.
And
You
it's
tell
not
Ronnie
right.
I said hi.
I will.
He got a glass of that Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you got a glass of that
Yeah,
Kool-Aid.
some of the leftover that you stopped drinking on the Brown season.
Woo!
We're gonna start with some hypothetical Browns trades. These were bouncing around the internet. 2 of them that we saw that really drew our attention. Obviously, they need a wide receiver, but they need defensive tackle. And most of the experts we've had on say the D-line is the more pressing need. So it's likely that they'll immediately address their D-line needs with the draft, and they may use free agency or perhaps a trade to try to improve their wide receiver core. Here's 2 that caught our eyes. Greg Newsome and a 3rd to Denver for Jerry Jeudy. You doing that if you're Cleveland? Because I can't make that trade fast enough.
Yeah, I would. I mean, certainly, yeah, you would. Greg Newsome had an okay year, but he's unhappy being a slot corner, and they have 2 corners that are better than him. So
He's not cracking that lineup here.
no, so you need 3 good corners, especially in this AFC with the Bills and the Bengals and the Chiefs and the Jaguars now probably. But he is expendable and Jerry Jeudy's young. Now,
You sound like you're just a bit waffling. Like I'm all. When I saw that, I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'll do that right
no,
now.
I'm not waffling. I'm thinking about the other trade, and I like the other
Okay,
trade. I
okay.
actually like the other trade
So
better.
we'll get to the
but-
second one in a
you
minute.
do-
But you would do this.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not doing that.
You're not?
No, I'm not. Let me tell you why I'm not doing it, right? Because I don't know. I follow Russell Wilson, right? And I was watching this all year, right? And I could never understand why Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy could not get on the same page at all, right? And some of it was obviously Russell Wilson's fault.
Yeah.
And some of it, like, I was looking at the game, like, what is Jerry Jeudy doing? Why? I didn't see nothing worth. And I get what you're trying to get. You're trying to get a guy to take the top off. I got that, right? And then, am I willing to give up Newsome? When we get to the other scenario, I appreciate the other scenario much more than I appreciate that scenario.
The thing with Jeudy, he hasn't put up huge numbers yet in his career. These, pretty good numbers, but nothing huge. But I look at it, I put most of the blame last year on the coach and Russell Wilson. I don't put much on Jerry Jeudy. And he's young. I mean, he's only like 25 years old. So to get a guy who still has upside from what because remember, even if you want to say Russell Wilson is a good quarterback, which he wasn't last year, but he was in the past, before that, Jerry Jeudy played with complete scrubs in Denver.
Yeah,
so
and did okay.
And did fine. Like, he hasn't put up superstar numbers.
No, he's not. I don't think he's a tier 1 guy, but to me, he's a number 2.
Like a number 2 receiver or a tier 2 player?
No, a number 2 receiver.
Oh, yeah, he might even. I actually think he's a lower tier number 1 receiver.
Well, he's not going to come in here and take catches.
Well, I mean,
away from Cooper, is he?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess not. But I mean, he's going to get a ton of catches. If he came in here and Deshaun Watson gets back to being the player at this point,
and he might help him,
then I think Jerry Jeudy would be. I'm expecting him to have 1,300 yards with double-digit touchdowns. I mean, I'm expecting Jeudy. I would think Jeudy and Cooper would be neck and neck.
Okay.
I think Judy's.
That's great.
I think Judy's upside to me is higher than what Amari Cooper is now
because of age.
Because of age, yeah.
Okay. G, you doing that?
Bring this over here to the Duke. Bring it over to the Duke. Y'all was
there goes that knee.
Yeah, there it is. My knees is over here moving fast. I tell you what, I can't run fast enough to the podium and turn this in. What you talking about? Greg Newsome for Jerry Jeudy? Under any circumstances, I'm running up there with that. And hey, you want a conditional 7th too? I got conditional picks too. You tell him, Greg Newsome. I like Greg Newsome, but for me, he lacks ball skills. I'm not getting no turnovers from Greg Newsome. I saw you all year at the wide corner position, right? And if you really want to come down to the get down, when you look at Martin Emerson come in, Martin Emerson took his position.
Where you taking him to the get down?
When you get down to the get down.
Okay, get down to the get down.
Get down to the
brass
get down.
tacks, where the rubber meets the road.
Martin Emerson came in, was like, this is my minutes, and I'm a 3rd-round pick.
He said, give me
those.
Give me that.
Chris Brown, give me that.
And he did that. Newsome was established.
Yeah,
he was established.
We like Newsome.
Do it one more time. Give me that.
And you got to use the wrist. Get over here. You saw a guy used to get snatched.
He just took his job.
I get snatched at the grocery store all the time. Get over here.
Give them great.
I'm with you, G. Bush. I can't do this fast enough. And I don't know that I like this one better than the one we're going to announce here in a second.
I don't think this one has any chance of happening.
No.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
don't.
difference.
I'm not sure either one of these do. Although I know Cooks has been passed around.
Well,
it's crazy how much this guy's been passed around.
I'm going to avoid that.
And I've always asked myself this:
why
the talent doesn't match up with the back of the football card?
Why?
And I don't mean the numbers.
Right.
I mean all of the teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like usually dudes like this are commodities, and they tend to hold on to these commodities.
Right.
But New England and New Orleans,
L.A.
and now Houston, it's just like what is it a locker room issue? And I've asked players that have played with him, and they're like, no, not really. He's a good dude. So I don't know why he's passed around as much as he is.
Right.
But we'll get to the second one in a second. I would do both. I would do this one.
This is bothering me.
You touched on it, Bull. He's not happy here. I think you said that. It's either you or G said he's not happy.
Yeah, I said
here.
he's not happy being a slot corner.
He doesn't want to be a slot corner,
Yeah.
and guess what? That's what he's going to be in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Emerson snatched it, and he's got it on lock now. So I don't even know that it's a situation where he can come in and show Schwartz that he can be that guy. Emerson is just bigger. He has better ball skills for sure.
Way better ball skills.
I think he has better cover skills. I just think that he's in a spot here where if he's not happy and you know he's not happy, then move on from him because you don't want things to fester. And if you can get a Jerry Jeudy type with a 3rd thrown in, I say do it.
And Jeudy makes a much more impact on this season than a corner. I know you need 3 good corners, but if you would ask me, would you rather have 3 great receivers or 3 great corners?
3 great receivers.
Give me them receivers.
The bottom line, though, is Denver just hired Sean Payton.
Yeah, this ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna
He
happen.
ain't trading Jerry Jeudy, especially because they might cut Cortland Sutton as a cap casualty.
Yeah.
So he's not going to get rid of both.
And think about it. I mean, why would you handcuff Russ by getting rid of your number one receiver?
Whereas the Texans, when we get to that deal,
Yeah.
they're starting over.
Right.
The
Yeah,
Broncos
I agree with you.
are trying. their hope is that Sean Payton could get Russell Wilson back to what he was in Seattle.
Correct.
And so they're not going to give up his best receiver.
So, and by the way, Houston already has a bunch of our draft picks, so why not give them a couple of thirds? Because that is the trade scenario.
Can I ask you this too? You say cap casualties.
Yeah.
Is there any chance Michael Thomas is a cap casualty?
Yes.
And would you take him?
I would take him in a heartbeat.
Well, but I can't trust him.
He
take
stay
him.
hurt.
He stay hurt.
He hasn't played for 3 years.
I know, but I'm going to roll the dice.
But I'm
'cause
rolling the dice on him.
The talent is
What do I got to
there.
pay him?
Well, probably not what his old deal was, because the availability is the biggest thing.
I am not going to. Would I take Michael Thomas on the Browns? Of course I would take Michael Thomas on the Browns. Would I rely on him being the key wide receiver I get this offseason? Absolutely not.
No, and I don't think that would be the case. If you brought Michael Thomas in, I think you get whatever you get out of him, and it's a bonus.
Right.
But I definitely wouldn't say that he's the tent pole now of our wide receiver.
Right.
No, I think there's.
So-
I'll tell you another guy who's very interesting, who could be a cap casualty before we get this other trade, is Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan's older, isn't he?
Right, but
Well, he's
he's older than
32.
Michael Thomas.
Sure, but he hasn't missed 3 years like Michael Thomas has.
You're right.
So
We keep talking about them needing speed, though.
That's
And
true.
Michael Thomas and Keenan Allen, who
No.
are both very good players.
They're
still have
possession
addressed
guys.
the
Brandin
speed
Cooks
issue.
can take the
Cooks
top
can-
off of a
yes.
defense, and that's
Yes.
why I like him a lot. And that's what this trade is. Trade number 2, this year's third and next year's third to the Texans for Brandin Cooks. I think we all like that one more than the Jerry Jeudy, right?
I'm ready to go with that.
Yeah,
right
I mean-
now. Today.
Brandin Cooks and Jerry Jeudy obviously Brandin Cooks is older, so you'd rather have Jerry Jeudy from an age standpoint.
Yeah.
In terms of production, they're close. I mean, Brandin Cooks has had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons. Jerry Jeudy has not. I think Jerry Jeudy certainly has some upside that Cooks does not. However, in this case, I'm giving up 2 third-round picks as opposed to a proven, solid player. Now, if Greg Newsome doesn't want to be here, yeah, maybe I say to the Texans, well, we'll give you Greg Newsome instead of one of the draft picks.
Right.
But I've always been a fan of Cooks. Last year was a mess for him. He was very unhappy there. He wanted out. He didn't play the full season. He got hurt. He did miss a few games last year. I don't know how many he missed, but the guy's always had big time speed, even at his age, and he has that chemistry with Deshaun Watson because they played together.
Yeah, which is why I like that one better too.
Which is what I agree with. Sometimes you have to align people with people they're familiar with, right?
Right.
And you just have to let that magic be what it is, right? And I know he's older. I know that comparison age to Jeudy is the differential, but sometimes you just have to put people in a place they're familiar with people. And that way the magic comes out. He said, I can trust him. I'm going to throw this ball to him.
Right.
And I believe that he can make a play because I have done it with him in the past.
And if you get him, now you set yourself up to feel good about some of your other guys that ain't showed up nothing. Like if I can get Anthony Schwartz to catch a couple tunnel passes or reverses or something, you're like, okay, well, I got Brandin Cooks, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and
You still on that train?
well, they probably gonna keep him. Yeah.
Who?
They're gonna keep Schwartz. They're gonna keep him.
Why?
Schwartz?
Why?
No, he's going to
What you mean? Who has Barry cut of his?
Yeah, but by now it's year 4. You got to start cutting
I
some
mean,
guys.
so here's the one thing that you look at. I'm looking at it from a standpoint of he's a receiver. He shouldn't be no receiver. He's a running back. That's what Anthony
I
Schwartz
think he's
is.
a nothing.
That's what
Anthony Schwartz is what?
he is a running back. He is a running back standing up. When you watch Kansas City, they got about 10 of them dudes. Mecole Hardman's one of them. These dudes are running backs that split out wide, that run around and do jet motion stuff. For me, if you can find something out of him because he's fast, sure. But I look at Demetrius Felton the same way. He's not a running back. He's more of a tweener type guy.
Yeah, tweener.
Tweener. So if you can get something out of him, all right, well, cool. I feel good about that because you got 3 established receivers, 3 guys that you know go catch the ball. You got a number 1. You got somebody that can get you deep. And for a 3 this year, and a sneaky move is that next 3 is next year's. I'm taking that
Yeah.
because I'm
By the
only
way-
losing 3 this year.
By the way, I've been a big defender of Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he's a decent wide receiver. But the Browns are coming up to a decision on him and what they're going to have to do.
Well, didn't he make that decision easier with the year that I thought he had a good step forward
He did,
last year.
but I saw some people saying, well, you're going to have to pay him $12 million a year. I'm like, I'm not paying him $12 million a year.
No, I think that's absurd.
I think about like the comparison of the contract the Bengals signed Tyler Boyd to a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd got just under $11 million a season to be the Bengals. At the time, he was their number one receiver, but he wasn't really a number one receiver.
Right.
He's really a 3. But I'm like, I know it was a couple of years ago, but to me, Tyler Boyd's way better than Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he didn't get $12 million. I know it was a few years ago, the prices go up. If I could re-sign Donovan Peoples-Jones for like $7-8 million a year, I'll do it.
Is he a free agent this year?
No, he's got one more year.
Oh, if he blows, he got to prove it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay him now. I don't think there's any
Well, you don't
rush
have
to extend
to.
him.
No, I wouldn't either. There's no need to extend.
You got to give about 11.
I definitely do want to see it another year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's the thing: if they bring in a receiver like Brandin Cooks, his production may well go back.
Right. Well, if they bring somebody of that level or higher, he becomes their 4th option because Njoku's probably their 3rd option behind.
You're likely right.
Right.
This is his last year before free agency, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. Yeah.
Does anybody have any other trades that they would like to throw out there? Anybody that you'd like to make a move for at the wide receiver spot that you think maybe the Browns could pry away from someone?
Some of the other guys that I'm interested in are not necessarily speed guys. Like people have mentioned DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans has been mentioned, not necessarily speed guys. I love the idea of trying to make a big trade for DK Metcalf, although I doubt the Seahawks would do it, and you'd have to give up a lot to get him.
Well, wasn't he unhappy there last year?
He was.
So, I mean, it might be a situation, too, like Greg Newsome here.
He was unhappy before the season. 'Cause
You're right.
Them trading
Right, he
Wilson,
didn't like-
but then
right.
him and Geno Smith turned
Yeah.
the corner.
So he's good now.
I
He seems-
assume
he seems pretty happy, yeah.
Geno may have – he was the comeback player of the year for me.
I doubt the Seahawks would trade him, but if I'm the Browns, I'm making the call.
I think you're going to get a haul for DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to give up. I mean, the Browns don't have first-round picks. They have to give up first-round pick in 2025, whatever it is.
If Deshaun Watson is listening, hey, listen, don't feel bad about going to get your boys, bro. If DeAndre Hopkins is around here hanging out, chilling, and they want something for him, you tell them, hey, you got.
I don't want Hopkins.
Hey,
personally.
I will take DeAndre Hopkins because he gets open. I know he's gonna be open. I watch these games in the playoffs. If you throw a football in the air, who you got more confidence in catching it, DPJ or DeAndre Hopkins?
I just think there's better options than Hopkins at this point in their.
I'm worried about the age. I'm worried about, last year. That's kind of a trouble.
Yeah.
It's a red flag for me.
Steve texted us. He's like, "Well, DK Metcalf's making a ton of money." Yeah, I don't care. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you inherit
The
that.
Browns went all in when they traded for Deshaun Watson. You pushed all your chips to the table.
You're right.
You can't half-ass it now.
No, you gotta bring in whatever pieces.
That's right.
You need to put around.
Can you imagine
the fillet now?
If they I think it's very unlikely they could get DK Metcalf, but can you imagine if Deshaun Watson is even close to what he was in Houston and you added DK Metcalf?
Wow.
I mean, this offense would be one of the best in the league.
You know what they used to say in the old movie? You remember the movie? It was like this. Oh, so now you want to step with the big dogs?
Yeah, now you want to step
with the big dogs. Well,
Yeah.
Cleveland, don't backstep now.
That's right.
You went
Let's
all
go.
in on Watson.
And guess what?
You want to start with the big dogs.
Gotta
And
get
we
off the
let you
porch.
and we
And they're off the
let
porch.
and we let you get away with it last year because you punted.
Gentleman's
it was
punt.
a gentleman's punt on the season. You brought nobody in of note. Now you want to get here and be like, but we don't got no money.
No, well, hold on. I thought you was with the big dogs.
Yeah, I thought you was you got all the
I
first
told
picks.
you on the plane what I had. You have the major league and the minor league in the tuck game. Which league you in? Because you got Watson, you act like you're in the major league, but you really want to be in the minor. Which one is it going to be?
You got it. And even if
Pick
it's
your
a
poison.
wrong move, sometimes when you paint it against a corner, I always tell people, sometimes it's about what they're going to give you. I done made the car analogy. I can go to that car lot and have the greatest intentions in the world, thinking I'm about to go get one of these nice cars.
Look.
But I leave out of there with the 25% interest rate and with a 2016. And you'd be like, G. Bush, you overpaid. Well, that's the only car I could have got.
Here, the major
I need
league
to go to work.
The major league was a $5-10 bet hand. The minor league was a $5 or $10 bet hand.
Yeah.
The major league was a $250 to $500 bet hand.
Yeah, you're at the big boy table.
You're the big boy table. Don't be.
I mean, look what the Mets are doing. I know it's a different sport, obviously,
Yeah.
but the Mets just keep adding these nuclear weapons. And, sometimes in sports, just because you have one nuclear weapon, it's a team sport.
Yes, it
You're
is.
going to need some other arsenal to go with that, and that's going to come at a price.
And
And
you
I'm
got-
with you. Screw the price. Pay it.
That's it.
You know?
I mean, if you hadn't made the trade for Watson, then we could argue building it through the draft and all. We don't have time for that nonsense. And by the way, I don't got time to you got to get it right now, because if they don't get it right now, Stefanski's getting fired, Berry's getting fired, maybe Deep Patel. I don't know. They're all got to go.
And here's another fear. Myles Garrett is more likely to leave if he has to go through another losing season here.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb is likely to leave if he has to go through another losing season here.
Yeah.
So this whole experiment is in the balance. And you even brought this up. It's not just next year. It's like the first 6 games.
Yeah.
You roll out 2 and 4, you might not see week 7.
This season, the Browns ascend to being a playoff team, or it all goes off the rails. Because if they don't win, or if Watson is not the quarterback we thought he was, it's a disaster. There's no other way to put it. Because everybody's going to get fired. You're right, Myles Garrett's going to want to be traded. They're going to look at Nick Chubb and say, we might as well move on. Why pay a lot of money to Nick Chubb when we're not winning?
You heard that talk this
Bitonio's
week.
going to be gone.
And then
cut him.
what's the point of having Deshaun Watson at all that money?
It'll be a total disaster. This year is everything.
What is the talk? What's this talk with this week talking about Chubb, getting trading Chubb? What is the nonsense?
Well, he was on Twitter. Twitter, Chubb was like,
he said, I'm tired of watching.
Bro. I'm tired of watching.
So what you're going to have, Brad, is a situation, and we were lucky and spoiled with Joe Thomas. Not only did Joe Thomas never go and ask to be traded, when the Browns had a deal that they liked and brought it to Joe that would have won Joe a Super Bowl in Denver with Peyton Manning, Joe said, no, I'm loyal, I'm staying home.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee. We can't expect that Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett are going to want to play their whole career in a sloppy pig pen.
Yeah.
Those guys see where the money's made. They
All
want to
fair.
go make playoff runs and
All
win
fair.
Super Bowl rings.
That's right. And Myles Garrett especially, we know.
He's gone.
If it doesn't turn around this year, he wants out. Now, we don't know that about Nick Chubb. For sure, even with that tweet, I don't know if it necessarily means he wants out. But Myles Garrett is asking out if he don't.
And for the fans, don't get mad. Don't get mad telling people they not loyal. Don't get mad that, because I keep trying to tell you, which is it easier to find? Another head coach or a franchise pass rusher? Which is it easier to find? A potential Hall of Fame running back or another coach? They punted. They could have got rid of the defensive coordinator. They could have did a lot of moves last year, but everybody want to rest on continuity. So don't get all upset when people want to leave and go do something and be better and win when we've been losing for 40 years.
I will say this, in terms of a Nick Chubb trade, I doubt he's going to get traded. The reality is he's worth more to the Browns than he is in the trade market, even if you did want to trade him.
Because of the undervalue that great running backs have.
That's what I
You
was
made a
going.
great point. You said, which of the last couple of Super Bowl winners have had that top-tier running back?
I saw a crazy stat. The last 7 Super Bowls, so the 2 teams in each, so 14 teams, no team has paid a running back more than $4 million a year.
That's not true. Joe Mixon was making more than $4 million last year.
He's still on his rookie contract.
No, he's not.
He was. Yes, he was.
No, he was
I'll pull up
not.
the stat right here.
Joe Mixon
boy
had
Ben Axelrod.
signed an extension before last year.
Did it kick in, though?
What's that?
Did it
kick in? What were the terms of it?
I don't know what his base salary was from last year, but when he signed the extension, it was a couple of years ago he signed the extension. He's been in the league a while now at this point.
I'll find the tweet.
Let me tell you.
Find
that's
out
gotta
how
be
much he
wrong.
made last year.
The point
Just
is,
Google that.
The point is, he's not Joe Mixon's a good back, and he's probably the best back that's been in the Super Bowl in a while, or one of the best.
And I'm trying to just think from that point, even on the eye test, can you guys go back and think of any major running back that dominated Super Bowl? Like, oh my goodness, this guy's
been a
killing
long
me.
time.
I can't.
Who? John Riggins?
Riggins or Marcus
Dude, you
Allen.
might be
Marcus
right.
Allen.
That's a long time
You
ago.
might be right. Even Emmett, when he was in the Super Bowl with the Cowboys.
I found it. Let me clarify.
Yeah.
It is the Super Bowl team's leading rusher plus base salary. So just the winners, excuse me.
Okay. But still,
it was Pacheco less than $1 million, Cam Akers less than $1 million, Fournette $2 million, Damian
this is-
Williams
this-
1.5,
this is
Sony
turning-
Michel, LeGarrette Blount less than $1 million, LeGarrette Blount even fewer the year before, C.J. Anderson, LeGarrette Blount, Percy
even the
Harvin,
losing teams, not a lot of big backs.
Marcus
But
Allen,
think about it.
Riggins.
Ray Rice, Ahmad Bradshaw, James Starks, Pierre
Think
Thomas.
about some of the best.
stunning.
Think about some of the best backs the last few years, right?
Yeah.
Nick Chubb has never gone to the Super Bowl.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick
not
Henry's
gone to
never
the
gone to the
Super
Super Bowl.
Bowl.
Christian
Christian
McCaffrey's never gone to the Super Bowl. Jonathan Taylor for 2 years ago
Right.
didn't go anywhere close to the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
unfortunately, he just pays the wrong position.
Did Adrian Peterson never went to the Super Bowl, right?
This is-
Saquon Barkley, nowhere. I mean, most of these guys haven't even gotten close.
This is a quarterback aired out,
Yeah.
ball movement type of games. So
Right.
and this is not Jim Brown's era. This is not O.J. Simpson. This is not that. We're not doing that anymore, right? And so Nick, I don't know if you're ever going to get peeled off because they're not peeled off like they peeled off
Hey,
before.
this is the hottest take. You talk about me and Duke of the Church. This is one of the hottest takes that ever has touched down on these airwaves. He said he gets peeled off.
Right. I said this.
Well, listen, when you figure out how winning teams are constructed,
Yeah.
and don't think for a second that the other 31 teams don't look at how
Oh, there's no question.
this year's Super Bowl team was constructed. Part of the mix is you're not paying a lot of money.
I'm
for
not
your lead
investing the
running
money
back.
there.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So it's a shell game. Where do we want to put it?
To that point, Jay, I would not be surprised if the Bengals cut Joe Mixon this year and get out of his money.
They're definitely going to cut Joe Mixon.
I think it's likely.
Definitely?
When,
Yeah, he's gonna
when
get
you're
cut.
when you're running in small cylinder
Wow.
circles, right?
That's 2 in a row.
What I do if I'm an NFL scout, what I do is let me go to halfback university. Georgia's going to always keep backs. Ohio State going to keep backs. I only need a person for a couple of years because I'm going to keep trading them out.
Wait, sure.
And I'll pay him low money and I put the money elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's not going to be the day of me having Jim Brown run for 9 years here, John Riggins for this type of that's not happening
I
anymore.
was reading
It's over.
yesterday that the Giants, to keep Saquon Barkley, you have to pay him $15 million. I'm like, they'd
Let him
be
go.
out of their mind.
Gotta let him go.
Yeah.
There was talk about they're going to pay Daniel Jones $35 million and Saquon Barkley. You're going to spend $50 million on a mediocre
they
quarterback
can't
and
do
a
that.
running back who's been
Yeah,
injured.
but you know what?
prone?
I bet the Browns aren't far from that. Between Chubb and
They're paying more.
Deshaun Watson,
The difference
they're
is-
probably paying $50 million
True.
or more.
Watson
The
got
Watson
difference
gets
is,
50 by
in
himself.
theory,
So they're definitely paying more.
the difference is, in theory, Watson's going to be a top 10 quarterback,
Right.
and Daniel Jones will not be.
Right.
And certainly Nick Chubb's been more productive.
We're
than Saquon
going to
Barkley.
have to move it to the NBA because we're on
Yeah.
defense drives, but I want to do one
Yeah.
thing real quick.
And then I got 1 point.
Okay, let's dive into the Nick Chubb tweet, tired of watching. So Nick Chubb doesn't say anything. Never anything controversial. I believe that for him to cognitively go through the process of give me my phone,
Right.
typing out the words tired of watching, and then actually pressing send, to me, that's code red.
It's not
Because
unfair.
it's,
I mean, he
he's
sent it a
not the
message.
kind of guy that just
No.
flippantly throws thoughts
No.
out on
And
social media.
I don't think that he is wrong in saying it, right?
I don't
Because,
either.
Hey, listen, Nick, bro, we tired of watching. I'm tired of turning on the Super
I'm
Bowl.
tired of watching him watch
I'm tired
in the fourth
I'm
quarter
tired
when
of-
the game's on the
I'm
line.
tired of going to the playoff, watching everybody else but Cleveland be in the playoffs.
Right.
So I know he's got to be tired.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And then, like I said, okay, you want to be in the big dog league, right? You done this thing. You brought Watson in here. Didn't go all the way. Fill all the holes. Let's go. Throw caution to the wind this time. Let's go one
go.
time at the table.
Yeah.
What was your point, Mikey?
So just on running backs, real quick, and this is why Nick Chubb's more valuable to the Browns than anyone else. When we asked Dane what position groups are very strong on Wednesday,
Yeah.
it's a tremendously strong running back group.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys that get drafted, and these are the free agent running backs this year alone. Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, first-team All-Pro, Tony Pollard, coming off in his best career year,
But a big injury.
David Montgomery, and Miles Sanders. So just already between the draft and free agency, you have
Well, you left out Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt. Yeah, he
And,
was
and by
listed
the
on
way,
the top seven.
because of that, their collective value goes down.
Exactly.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
Right. There's not a lot of teams that are going to pay a ton of money for a running back. Barkley and Jacobs, I bet, will get good amount of money, but that's it. The rest of the guys-
What did Troy say? He said about Watson and Chubb. You'll never get the full Watson with Chubb behind him.
Who said that?
The former
Troy Aikman?
no.
I thought you said Troy.
No, Troy. I forgot he was on the radio the other day, and he was talking about former NFL player. He said,
Yeah.
"You'll never get the full Watson with Chubb behind him."
To that
he said,
point.
"You're going to either turn it over to Watson, or you'll never get the full deal."
I'll be watching a whole lot of weird stuff. Like, so they was just telling me in 200 million years, where would all the continents be? Right, I was watching that continental drift.
Oh, I saw that too.
Yeah.
You know where Cleveland was that length of time ago? We were south of the equator.
Yeah,
Florida's going to be underwater in 100 years.
yeah. Ultra Pangea, right? They got a new one. It's 250 million years. Things drift, and they said, okay, cool. Well, I was looking at this in the evolutionary state of football, and it got me thinking. In about 10 years from now, why would you even put a running back on the team? Why wouldn't you just go?
You mean like by committee, free agents bring
No,
them in?
I wouldn't put a guy back there.
What do you mean?
I would not have a running back.
Well, how'd that work for Tampa Bay this year?
Well, what I would do is I would have guys
He's
that
talking
was
about
built like Jalen Hurts.
You talking about evolution?
Evolution, I would have a bigger quarterback, a Josh Allen that could run the football. And what I would do is when it got to short yardage, all I'm going to do is do a scrum play.
I see where you're going.
Them three other plays.
I see where you're going.
I see where he's going
20 years
too.
ago, there was
fullback.
20 years ago there was a center that was you couldn't win anything without a center in the NBA.
Right.
Now they have phased
Now
that.
he's
They phased
gone.
that person basically out.
But maybe you'll evolutionize into that. But I'll just bring up two quick examples. Tampa Bay just put their playbook in the hands of their defense. Every defense that played them, we're just going to throw the ball. We're not going to run it at all. And they had no success.
Right.
Well, they still made the
Super Bowl,
playoffs.
They made the playoffs with a sub 500
Yes,
record. In a
but they were
bad
still better
division.
than half the teams in the league.
Well, I don't know that that's true. We're more than half the
And
teams.
they didn't have a mobile quarterback. as he
My
suggested.
model would be
You're
more
right.
like
You're right, Dad
Philadelphia.
Brady.
Yeah.
But the other thing is Philadelphia advanced to the Super Bowl on the strength of their run game. And Kansas City wisely, everybody talks about Kansas City's offense. But Spagnuolo did something very, very, very smart, in my opinion. You're not going to run like that on us. We're going to make Hurts beat us. And the run game, which was so prominent for them all year, was gone.
Hurts.
And they
Well,
lost the
Hurts
game.
was the big part
Now,
of their run game.
He got the run.
Yeah, I know he was, but collectively they moved the ball on the ground as well as anybody in the NFL this year. But Kansas City said, we're going to Belichick you. We're going to take your strength away. You're going to have to beat us with your secondary
I don't
pitch.
know. I think Philadelphia had a bad game plan. Miles Sanders was their best back all year. They barely used him.
Well, because he wasn't getting anywhere.
No, but they didn't. How many carries did he have?
I don't know, but he wasn't
He
getting
didn't
anywhere.
have many carries, but something we didn't talk about, and I didn't see anyone really talk. He fumbled on the first carry he had. He fumbled out of bounds. Remember
Right.
he got lit up by Justin Reed?
Yep.
I remember, yeah,
He
did.
fumbled, and I think he went in the doghouse. And I
That's
don't think he-
ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
How many
I
carries
mean,
did he end up with, Mike?
I'll look it up right
I'd
now.
say
but I-
12.
The guy's been your. I
No,
don't even
no
think he had
way.
12.
You don't think he had 12?
No.
no way. He
You
had
can't give up on your best back.
Miles Sanders had 7 carries.
Yeah.
For how many yards?
16, and his longest rush was the first one where he fumbled.
Yeah, but how do
Yeah.
you give up on your best back after 7 carries when you
I
had
think they
the
put
lead?
him in the doghouse.
That's ridiculous.
Well,
that was
stupid.
bad
That's like,
coaching.
That's like Belichick lost the Super Bowl to Philly 5 years ago because he put one of his best defensive backs in the doghouse.
Makes no sense.
I would be interested in seeing the way the game is played. There's always somebody that comes in and does something. When I played, somebody said, could you play now? I said, well, probably not. I probably wouldn't even play a different position. You look at safeties. Safeties are no longer valued. To be truthful, if I was a guy back there, I would never play a safety that hits. I would play only corners. I'd play 4 corners in the backfield because you can't hit nobody
Right.
hard anyway. I need guys that be able to play the ball.
You want, and essentially what you're saying is have a wide receiver that can occasionally play running back.
Yes.
Basically.
There you go.
Yes.
So now I
Like
don't
a
even-
Deebo Samuel.
There it is. And you look at the 49ers and they do it. And it works.
But you see that these best receivers, you could throw Justin Jefferson back there. You could throw Jamar Chase back there. You could do it with these top guys.
What's the guy who
Christian McCaffrey could be
for
a wide receiver
Yes,
that also
no
doubles
doubt.
as a running
Yes.
back.
for
So-
Atlanta?
so-
Who was his name?
Cordero Patterson.
Yeah.
Cordell
Cordell
Patterson.
Patterson.
is
Right.
just-
So
Was a running back and a return guy,
I just
No,
a
he was
wide
a
receiver and a return guy.
They
and
made him a
then-
running back.
I just want to go back to where G was before we flip the script here. So, this is a copycat league. All sports are copycats. You see some winning formulas, people emulate them. This is what they do, right? So, to your point, of the 11 black starting quarterbacks in NFL last year, let me just name them and you tell me what the similarities are. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Jameis Winston, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Geno Smith, Trey Lance, Jacoby Brissett. All but one of them really can get in the wind and raise dirt on the ground.
Yep.
Well,
Everybody
Jameis
but
Winston can.
No, but
Everybody
I'm just
but
saying,
Well,
Jacoby.
neither can Jacoby.
No,
No,
he
I
was
left
the
him
one
off the
that he
list.
was leaving
Yeah.
out.
There's another guy you mentioned who's not. Dak can't run anymore either.
Dak doesn't run.
Well, after
He
the
used
injury.
to, but since his
before
injury,
the
he
injury.
can't
But
run
I'm saying,
anymore.
but this is the trending that I'm talking about
Yeah.
because this is what phases out the
Well,
running.
hell,
back.
the white quarterback, Josh
The white
Allen,
quarterbacks all
Justin
run,
Herbert.
too.
Yeah,
those guys can tuck and run too.
They all-
Who's a
everybody
quarterback?
run.
Like, to
Everybody
me,
run.
are there any quarterbacks that are any good under the age of 30 that can't
No,
run at
the
least a
only,
little?
only one was Tom Brady, and Tom Brady was just the anomaly.
Right. But
Tom-
all these quarterbacks that are coming in, black or white,
Yeah.
you better be
they're
able to
all
run.
at least a little. That was the problem with Baker. One of the problems is
Not
he's not
mobile
mobile.
enough.
And
Yeah.
you know what's messing up? They used to say, back in the day, man. We used to go. They say, man, listen, everybody is built. Everybody is thick now. And when you go on these campuses, you're like, when did all these women become thick? Everybody is thick. I don't know if you at the rec center doing what you do, but as a salute to y'all. Even when I watch the games in college, Stetson Bennett is moving away from people.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett picks him up. I'm like, hey, this ain't no. Stetson Bennett will take off and score in the SEC, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Everybody
The
now
quarterback
got
has
something.
become the proverbial halfback here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a hybrid position
right.
for
So
sure.
now I don't need you. I don't need to pay you $10 million behind.
The only quarterbacks I can think of that are not really mobile, that are any good, are at this point I'd say Dak. He's not mobile at all.
Right.
Kirk Cousins is not mobile.
No.
He's a decent quarterback, but he's not mobile.
Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers
Rodgers
now is not.
But Aaron Rodgers is old. He was
Right.
mobile.
But he was
he's not
one of the
now.
most
But like
athletic
even
quarterbacks.
but all these other quarterbacks, you mentioned a bunch. Herbert, mobile. Allen, mobile.
Yeah.
Burrow, mobile.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones,
Yeah.
mobile.
Oh, don't James Jones. is
Kirk
fast.
Cousins not mobile. He's one of the guys.
I
who
just
really-
mentioned
Yeah, Kirk is not.
Oh, you say Kirk, sorry.
But
This
I'd
is-
say 26 of the 32.
Most of them are.
This
can
is
tuck
where,
the ball and run
this
at
is
any
where
point.
This is where it's trending, right?
Yeah.
And so, I wouldn't be wasting the money on no halfback. I'm not.
Well, that's one of the reasons
The
why
days
their
of the
draft
statue
value and
quarterback-
their free agent
Yeah.
signings has
The
gone
days
down.
of the statue quarterback are over. They're
so
over.
we got to make a decision here on the fly.
We got about 5 minutes. Well,
Yeah.
actually, Jensen just hopped on. So
All right,
if
let's
you
go
wanna-
to baseball. Let's talk some
Okay,
baseball.
well, let me get a mic check in with
Yeah.
Jensen real quick.
Okay.
Paul, you want to talk about memberships while we
Yeah,
get
let's do
Jensen
that.
set up? They'll bring Jensen
So,
in.
guys and ladies, $199 a month is the standard tier. That's the beginner's tier for becoming a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, the loyalty badges, the emojis, the community posts, which is going on all the time, even when we're not on the air. And then you got the coaches tier, $4.99 a month. That's the big time one. You get everything you get in the starters tier, plus you get our overtime segment. We do, I'd say, 8 to 13 minutes, maybe even 15 minutes of overtime, starting just after 1 o'clock. If you're a coaches tier member, you can watch overtime live, or you can watch it back again later in the day. Discount codes for merchandise and more. We're always doing some crazy stuff. You get some good information on the overtime segment right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. So please consider becoming a member and hit that subscribe button.
That's
Hit
a
that
pretty.
like
That's a pretty good read. I like that. That's pretty smooth. That's pretty
He's
smooth.
done this a time or
Yeah,
two.
I can tell.
I
can tell.
need them likes. You know what? I'm gonna run a like telethon. I need to see. I be going back and check. I be seeing like 120. I need a.
You doing what?
I need a like telethon. See, I'm a dude.
We need a tote board.
You know what I'm saying? I grew up on meager rations sometimes, and sometimes I know people need a free option. That free option is the easiest option. All you got to do is pick your finger right here, right there, hit that like button, but then disinfect your screen because you shouldn't put your hands in your mouth. But hit that like button.
Right. I was,
Hit that like button.
I was wondering
Is there
what
a
you were
love
doing.
option? No.
Yeah,
It's just like?
It's like. Y'all hit that like button, man. We should be, when we looking on there, it be thousands of people's in the chat, right? Hey, man, all you got to do is hit the like. We should at least be over 250. I need to run a telethon. My goal is tomorrow, I need to turn this on. This is one of our hottest episodes. I need you to get that 250.
And by the way,
Jerry Lewis of likes.
Mike,
Yes.
did we get you to 5,000 Twitter followers yet or what?
I'm at 5,000 on the dot.
All right, good.
Oh,
Finally.
good for you. Welcome to the
All
club.
right, we got Jensen.
We got Jensen.
Hey,
Yep.
Jensen, you better not have beautiful palm trees in the background when you come on.
No.
Okay,
No.
good.
He's in
Good.
the closet.
So you're at home
it's-
still? Because I know you don't travel
Yeah,
with
still
the
at home,
Jensen
boys.
Lewis poster, right?
Yeah, that one was a nice little addition to the corner of the man cave down here, guys. But great to be with you. And ironically, I came back from fantasy camp at the end of January, and it felt like Cleveland out there because it was, mid to high 30s for most of the mornings, and we barely got to 50 a couple of days. But good old Ohio weather out there, so everyone's ready to go. So looking forward to the year.
When do you go?
I'll probably go out sometime in March, and I like to always coincide it with March Madness because then you can hop up to Vegas and take in a couple of the sports books and maybe enjoy a flutter here and there. But the nice thing, guys, is there's not too much to decide for this club this year going into camp. You got a lot of the roster already set, and that's a great thing to have with the continuity aspect of it. And now it's kind of looking at do you bring in a veteran starting pitcher for some depth, been around for a little bit, maybe as a backup for injuries, things like that. And then, see what they do for the bench and how Tito decides to fill that out, and then the back of the bullpen as well.
Jensen, it's an interesting point because we've talked about because it seems like they could use another veteran middle of the road, like a guy you could use as your third or even fourth starter in the playoffs, right? I was saying a few months ago that there was rumors that the Mets would be willing to trade Carrasco. What do you think? I mean, Michael Wacha was a free agent. He just signed, I know, with San Diego. I'm trying to think if there's any starters left on the market at this point. You think Carrasco's a reasonable option, or is he even making too much money at this point?
Yeah, well, I think the money aspect is probably something that Cleveland doesn't want to take on. And by and large, if you think about the Mets, that might be their biggest question mark going into the season is, you've got a lot of guys up in age. We know what Verlander's doing over age 40. I mean, last year was incredible. Scherzer, remember, started to break down a little bit last year. Kodai Senga, the whole deal with the physical, the Mets, physicians and medical department weren't exactly, sold 100% right away. And then Carrasco's up there, obviously, in innings. We know what his tenure was here towards the end of that. I think the Mets really have the biggest question mark in their rotation of their club. So they're probably leaning on a healthy Carrasco to try and help the bottom of that rotation.
That's a fair point. Let's get to one of the new guys in Josh Bell. Obviously, the one thing lacking from this team last year was power. Josh Bell's got power. I even think, when he first came into the big leagues, I thought he was going to be an all-star player. And he's been a good player, but not quite. I think he was an all-star maybe once. I think there's another level to his game, and I think there's a chance the Guardians can bring it out of him. Do you think there's another level to his game?
You hope there is, Bull, because it feels like a mutually beneficial deal here for not only the player but for the club. And if Josh Bell gets back to his all-star form, remember his career high was 37 home runs.
Yep.
Great power from both sides of the plate. I feel he's going to benefit not only in the middle months here in the summer, as you guys well know. That jet stream out to right center field at Progressive Field is really a haven for not only doubles but for home runs from both sides of the plate. So we'll see how Josh adapts here on the American League side to the pitching. And I think for him, he doesn't have to come in and shoulder the entire load. He's got, a top 10 overall player in the league and Jose Ramirez hitting in front of him. He's going to have some options behind him, whether it's a right-handed starter and it's Josh Naylor or Andres Jimenez. If it's a left-handed starter, you can pop Oscar Gonzalez up there. So from a balance standpoint, it helps because you get the back-to-back switch hitters in J. Ram and Josh Bell. But I don't feel he needs to do so much offensively or feel like he's got all that pressure to have to shoulder most of the offensive load.
Jensen, one of the things we've been talking about throughout this offseason is how difficult it is for rookies to duplicate that success in year number 2. The sophomore slump is real. And I know that we sort of fell into this beautiful outfield when you get surprises in the corners out of Kwan and Gonzalez. Nobody had that on their 2022 bingo card. And yet, here we are. How concerned are you that one or both of these guys take a step backwards now that there's a full book on both of these guys and how to pitch to them?
Yeah, Jay, first and foremost, I probably could make a comeback with the gold gloves we got in left and Kwan and Straw in center. They could run down all the fly ball outs I used to give up. So I think from that standpoint, defensively, you feel really comfortable with what Kwani could do in left. Obviously, the ground that Miles covers in center, it really helps Oscar in right just worry about a little bit less real estate. Your fears about the offense are well warranted and it's well documented. Of course, year 2, always a struggle for guys and the league adjusting to them. The thing that I think might be an outlier is Kwani first and foremost because his approach already is putting the ball in play.
Right.
And as we know with the new rule changes, the lack of the shift, I think he's going to benefit already from his mentality that he already had for just an entire season last year. With Oscar, he's so good at being able to use all parts of the field, and that's so rare for a guy with his size his demeanor, and his offensive capabilities. So for Oscar, I think the one thing I look at, if I was an opposing pitching staff going against him, I would want to try and see him have to beat me, ironically more to the pull side, because you guys know he likes to go to that right center gap. He likes to go shoot the ball the other way and get those doubles. To me, I want to crowd him in as much as possible, force him to kind of get uncomfortable. If he's able to stay disciplined, and he showed that pretty well overall last year, I think the league's in trouble, because that's a really tough habit to break.
I think the good thing too, Jensen, I was saying this yesterday, the Guardians have so many good young players that even if there's some, because you know as well as anybody, like it's not basketball and football where a guy usually once he's good just stays good. I mentioned, Cody Bellinger was like on a Hall of Fame track, and now he signs a 1-year prove-it deal. So this happens all the time in baseball, especially with young players. But the Guardians have so many young players that, let's say Oscar Gonzalez had a down year and then maybe it's 2024 that he bounces back. Well, maybe Will Brennan picks up the slack. Or I know it's a different position, but maybe Gabriel Arias picks up the slack. Like there's so many other young guys that I think even if they get sophomore slumps from some of them, somebody else will step up.
Bull, I mean, the farm system is loaded, especially at the top end. And it's been rare that we've been able to say that in Cleveland on the position player side. We're used to it being pitching you and just producing top-end arms year in and year out. I think the guys to focus on, if some of the year two guys off the opening day roster falter a little bit, we've heard so much about George Valera in the outfield, Kenzie Noel, Brian Rocchio, a couple of names already. You mentioned Arias. I think there's enough depth from a potential standpoint that the club feels pretty good that if they need to dip down to AAA right away, they can do that. However, and this is an outlier for Terry Francona, he usually is not as patient with some of the younger guys. He likes to lean on the veterans. It may be taken out of his hands this year where it's just, okay, we got to ride with these guys. And I think the silver lining here, fellas, is, last year they were so good with Chris Valleca's idea of let's put the ball in play. Let's put as much pressure on the defense going first to third as possible. And now with the added power from Bell and hopefully from Mike Zunino at the bottom of the lineup, all due respect to Austin Hedges, guys, you no longer have sort of that automatic out in that 8 or 9 spot. You've got a guy in Z who can change a game with one swing, and with Straw coming on the way that he did in September and October, you feel much more comfortable being able to turn the lineup over and have some continuity top to bottom.
Hey, Jensen, so when you look at it now and you see that as we approach the upcoming season, the league has now have a better idea what the Guardians are about. What's a projected number you think should be their target goal for wins? What do you think that looks like now that it's not a surprise anymore who they are?
Yeah, I honestly, Brad, I think if you look at the 85 to 90 win window right there, and to me, it's the first team to 85. Whoever gets there first is probably going to win the division. The thing that we looked at the last couple of years is the White Sox on paper have looked phenomenal. I wonder how they change this year, though, knowing that Jose Abreu, who's been the face of the franchise, leader of that club, is no longer there. They didn't get Tim Anderson for the last 2 months of the season last year, and I think he's been their heartbeat. As much as Jose is for us, Timmy A is definitely that for Chicago. Minnesota, I'm still not sold on the rotation. I don't know if they've got enough there, turn in and turn out. I think their offense is going to be pretty good. And the back end of their bullpen should be good with Lopez and Duran as their 1-2. And then, with Detroit and Kansas City, guys, we've been really good at beating up on them the last couple of seasons and piling up those wins. Now with the balanced schedule, you don't get that luxury of playing them 19 times. So how does that affect that win total? Yeah. That's why I'd kind of side on that 85 win mark. If they're the first one there, then I think they repeat as Central champs.
Jensen, when we were covering the playoffs, and they got to the Yankees, the Guardians, they're a nice story through till you get to the big boys. You got to the New York, and you just always had this impending feeling that no matter how well you played or how well you pitched, the 3-1 home run was right around the corner. Like you got through their order, and all of a sudden, whoop, 3-1 homer. Do you believe that the Guardians can still play the way that they play in terms of exhausting every pitch, exhausting every opportunity on the base paths without having that power number to compete with the big dogs like the Yankees?
The power needs to be there, and I think if you look at the last 4 to 5 World Series participants, they obviously have that element. As far as that Yankee series go, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but boy, oh boy, did they find it convenient not to play that day and be able to give that pitching staff a little extra time. Not saying anything, but just saying. I mean, we had to. I was there at Game 4. I sat through the rain and the drizzle. Seemed like they could play through it, and plenty of people on the ground here in New York were like, "Yeah, probably could have played." But hey, that's in the past. But your point is well taken from the power aspect, where you look at what Houston has done year in and year out. Obviously, the Yankees live and die with the home run ball, and they'll probably have to do it again a little bit this year. I think for Cleveland, and it'll be fascinating to see how the rule changes affect where offenses go as far as their creativity. I think Cleveland was a year ahead of the curve playing the way that they did offensively last year, because now you're basically putting this on all 30 teams of no shifting guys. You get the bigger bases, so you're going to entice more stolen bases. Well, we had 5 dudes with 10 or more last year. It was a key part of their game. I just think they have enough pitching top to bottom, and they showed that last year. Now you get a little offensive burst, and that might be enough for them to get past some of the bigger teams.
Jensen, let's wrap it up with the pitch clock, because this is a big one. And as a former pitcher, I'm curious your take on it. I'm really less worried about the starters, because all the Guardian starters work pretty quickly. But guys like especially Karinchak, to a lesser degree Clase, they work slower. How tough an adjustment do you think it's going to be for all these guys, but especially the guys in the bullpen?
Yeah, I'm glad, Bull, that they're doing the first 2 weeks of camp, or at least right out of the chute day one. So you get the opportunity to fail a little bit and test some things out routine-wise, pitch-to-pitch-wise, right there in a game that really doesn't count. I'm fascinated with the decisions on how many times you pick over. And if you're going to go that third time and you don't get the guy out, the opportunity to move up 90 feet for the opposition is interesting. And then also where the managers decide – to throw down or to try and control the running game in late game situations. I love the pitch clock. I'm probably a break from traditionalists. Yeah, I worked fast, so it would never have affected me. But I think you're going to have the onus and the urgency much more across the board, and I think it'll produce a much more enticing and really enlivened product on the field.
Jensen, we have 2 minutes, and I really want to get your thoughts on this. It's 2 separate thoughts. The player this year that takes that next step, and that can be anyone from Tristan McKenzie to Jose Ramirez, if you think he's got another step to take. Which player takes that breakout step, and what's your biggest area of concern for this team?
I'll start with the second one, and I think my biggest area of concern is always a team that the year prior was really not thought of or maybe taken for granted, and then they go and have the season that they did. It is always harder, and I'll take this from personal experience. In 2007, we went and we beat Detroit. We won the division. We got a game for the World Series. That next year coming in with those expectations, that was a tough thing to have to shoulder. And this is a young team still age-wise, so interested to see how they deal with it. They've got the veterans to do it, but it's easier said than done sometimes. So that would be my biggest concern. My guy to break out, I think if you're going to look at a Cy Young candidate, let's go with Tristan McKenzie. Yeah. I mean, he's kind of been a guy that, from a 2-pitch pitcher as far as a starter goes, if he adds a third pitch, he adds something like Shane Bieber was able to do with the cut fastball to go along with not only his fastball, his slider, and his curveball. Man alive, you got the makings of a guy who's got some of the best swing and miss stuff in the American League. Mm-hmm. I think he's got that opportunity to really flourish. And if you're going to pick a guy to really, throw some – now we can do it in Ohio since it's legal. That's right. If you can throw some soft-earned dollars on a guy to maybe take home the Cy Young Award, why not T-Mac? He's as good a candidate as anybody. I'm with you. He had performances last year where he looked as good as anyone. I think the one home game against the White Sox comes to mind. He had Cy Young quality Astros stuff. Too. Yeah, he's nasty. He's just incredible. Jensen, great Thanks, stuff. Man. I may see you out there depending on when you're in Arizona. I hope to, and we'll have you on throughout the season if that's cool with you. Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me, and look forward to talking to you again soon. Very good. Thanks, Jensen.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Can't wait for the start of the season.
And I agree with him 100%. I think Tristan McKenzie, even though he's already at the level where he's a front of the rotation kind of guy.
Right.
I think he can become a Cy Young caliber pitcher, and he can do it this year. Go ahead, Mike McNuggets.
I gotta do a read.
All right.
And then I see someone in our queue who we are very excited to have on in a sec. But
Absolutely.
First, BetJack is the official sports book of the great state of Ohio. The time has arrived, Ohio sports fans. Sports betting is legal. Download the BetJack app today so you can be ready to get in on all the action, parlays, single game bets, over-unders. BetJack has it all.
Yeah.
The official sportsbook of Ohio. Jay, if you want to start the intro, I'm going to do a mic check real quick.
I do. You do the mic check. I'm wondering, we should check and see what the odds are on Tristan McKenzie winning the Cy Young.
Yeah,
Because I think Jensen makes a great point. If I like to throw flyers on teams to win it all early, just throw it.
I'm sure it's probably pretty long odds.
It probably is, but I think it's a good bet.
I'd throw a couple of bucks on it. I like that.
I like him too.
He's got great stuff. He's always had great stuff.
And
he's
right,
always
swing
been a
and
top
miss.
prospect.
Nobody has swing and miss stuff like him because he can throw it by you with the fastball or the curveball just as easily.
The only thing we're always going to worry about with Tristan McKenzie is can he stay healthy because he's so skinny.
I know. He's
and his
6'5",
body
160.
and the delivery is his delivery, like the arm speed he's getting and the power on that throw he's getting at his size, it makes you nervous.
He's Brad Sellers skinny. He's almost Stephen A. Smith skinny.
Is Stephen A.
is
skinny?
He's a tall, thin dude now. I'm telling you.
I don't think of him
when
as
you
like,
see him in person,
He's about 6 foot.
He's bigger than 6 foot.
Tristan McKenzie looks like a skeleton almost.
His nickname sticks.
Yeah, I know it is.
Stephen A. doesn't look like that.
Let's bring in Stephen A. Smith, my longtime coworker at ESPN, lifetime friend. There's my man, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A., can I tell you how good it is to see you again?
It's been a long time, my brother. How have you been, man?
I've been great. It's been too long. I know we chat via text, but it's good to share a TV box with you again. You're a private cat. You don't share a lot of stuff. You're not out there on social talking about your dating life and all the things you do when you're not working, which you don't. There's not much free time in Stephen A.'s world. So I'm guessing for you to write this book, which is a tremendous read, the New York Times bestseller, I encourage it to all sports fans. Was that a challenge for you to bear as much of your growing up and of your past as you did?
It was only a challenge in terms of me having to take my siblings into consideration. For me personally, it's something that I've walked around with all my life. So, for me to be in this seat that I sit in and constantly being in judgment of the things that people do, certainly not who they are, but the things that they do from time to time on a case-by-case basis, I just felt that it was important that if I was going to write a book, that I let people know, give them some insight into who I am, what I've been through in my life, how I came out of it, what I endure on a day-to-day basis, how do I come to the conclusion of the perspectives that I have on a day-to-day basis, etc. And just giving them some insight into how I think, who I am, etc. I felt I owed that to the reader, to just let them know who I am. I owe that to my colleagues like yourself and various others who have been around me for years. But it was very difficult from the standpoint that I'm writing about, particularly my father, my relationship with my father. I had promised my mother I would never do it until she died, because she made me swear that I would never do it as long as she was alive.
Wow.
And I kept that promise. She made me make that promise to her in 2011, and I kept it. She died in 2017, and obviously the book just came out. And so I made that promise to her, and then when I showed it to my sisters before it went to print, we didn't talk for 2 weeks. They weren't mad at me or anything like that. It's just that there were so many memories that were buried because what I went through, they went through.
Wow.
And there was so much details that I had in there that they had forgotten about. And it forced those memories to resurface. And so there was they knew it was coming, but to read it and to read the details with which I wrote it, it was a hard read for them in that regard, because it reminded all of us what we had to endure and what we had to go through to ultimately end up out on the other side.
Wow, great stuff.
Stephen A., it's a panel of dudes up here. I might only get to ask one question, so I wanted to, these dudes be talking a lot. I wanted first of all give you your flowers, because whether you know it or not, you've paved the way for African Americans and guys, young guys like me coming up to have an opinion, to be even able to talk like you talk. Because you talk spicy, you do your thing. But I want to say that, you know, what's most impressive about your career is that you're literally married to your craft. You have done it as a journalist. You've done it, you know, on your own blogs. You've done it on television, radio, so many different things. And so my thing is, I just want to say to a lot of people out there, you may just think he's talking, but he actually put the work in to be able to talk spicy like that, because he put that work in. So I want to thank you for paving the way, but
Thank you.
I have to say, my brother, you are wrong on a couple of things, though. My brother, the LeBron James angle, right? And you know we was coming with it. We in Cleveland. I want to ask you, why is it that LeBron James does not get credit for the longevity, right? Michael Jordan left in 2 years in the middle of '94. He left in
Brad's going to get on you too.
He left in a couple years. He left it. He wasn't in baseball. At the end of his career with the Bulls, he had 3-4 years left in him, because he came back with the Wizards and averaged 20 plus a game. So you know he could have played, right? He probably had it in him. Michael Jordan could have had that longevity that LeBron has. Why is that left out of the conversation when you mention all-time greats?
Number one, because there was a choke performance that took place in the NBA Finals against the Dallas Mavericks. Number one. Number two, I think it's important, and I say this respectfully, and if you don't mind me giving you a little bit of advice, doesn't matter to me that you disagree with me. Jay Crawford will tell you that about me. I'm not saying what I say for anybody to agree with me. I'm just telling you where I stand. And I want you to know that, because as you continue to have a flourishing and a career, you got to remember that there's a whole host of people that's going to disagree with you. So what? There's nothing wrong with it. I find nothing offensive about it, nothing remotely taken aback by it. I love it. I love it when people disagree with me. It doesn't bother me at all. That's what makes the world go round. My position with LeBron James is that also, when we say not giving him credit, I mean, damn, how much credit do you want? The man's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. The game has existed for over 75 years, and I can only think of one player that I would put ahead of him. How is that cutting him short? Now, if his camp would believe it's cutting him short, Rich Paul, Maverick, Harden, those guys, good for them. I could care less. At the end of the day, I think about LeBron James and I compare that to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was never scared to get to the free throw line. Michael Jordan never choked in an NBA Finals. Michael Jordan never was somebody that you looked at and blamed him for an NBA Finals loss. Oh, I forgot, because he never had one. In 6 Finals appearances, he was the champion and the MVP of each one of them. When he stepped away from the game, we know there was personal off-the-court issues with his father's passing and things of that nature, a lot of things that he was going through. One could easily have argued that Michael Jordan would have won 8 straight had he never retired, because I believe they would have beaten Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon with Kenny Smith and Mario Elie and those brothers in Houston. I believe Chicago would have beat that squad, okay? So my mentality is, when I look at it from that perspective, it did not take into account a 10-time scoring champion, a 9-time All-NBA defensive team member, 6 NBA Finals MVPs, 2 more titles than LeBron James, not to mention the fact that, again, he was also the things that I mentioned, along with having more MVPs as well. The man was just absolutely positively sensational, and there was never a time where you looked at a loss and said, that was Michael Jordan's fault. It never happened. So I take that into consideration, and that is why I draw the conclusion that I draw, not to mention this one other point. The times were different back then. The road to prosperity was harder. Rules were tougher. I mean, they let more go, rather. And because they let more go, I mean, you saw muggings take place on the basketball court, for crying out loud. And Michael Jordan had to withstand and endure all of that en route to prosperity, and he did it. And still, to this day, even with LeBron James 20 years in the league, he has less titles than Michael Jordan. I rest my case on that.
Here's one of his teammates. Here's one of Michael's teammates.
So Stephen Brad Sellers, I'm glad you eloquently said what you just said, because, for years I played with Michael. I broadcast the Cavaliers when LeBron was here. Yep. And this is no slight against LeBron.
Zero.
There's none. But
Zero.
Those who saw it live and direct, there is no comparison. the brother, Michael Jordan, by far, hands down, is unequivocally the best of all time in this league.
Brad, you could speak to this better than me. And I said this the other day, and it created an uproar. LeBron James is highly respected and revered. We got to stand down all that. Incredible basketball ambassador, role model. And if you omitted the years in Dallas, that season in Dallas when they lost the chip and what have you, you know what? You can make a better argument for him, even though it still wouldn't get him over the hump. But here's the description that I throw. LeBron James was respected and revered. Michael Jordan was feared. And you know that better than me, Brad. You had cats scared to death to go up against MJ. Scared out of there, you know what?
Steven, you know that because you saw it. These people don't even know that.
Hey, stand down. I'm old too. I saw it.
He elicited fear.
I'm 41.
Out there.
I pay taxes.
And so, people don't understand. The thing about it is this. And there's no slight against LeBron. Steven, talk about if Michael played in the rules of today's game, what would Michael have done?
First of all, he would have averaged over 40.
I'll give you
Okay, that's number one. It might have been more difficult for him defensively because you can't. I mean, you could get called for a foul for breathing on somebody. You can get called for a tech for passing gas, for crying out loud. So it's a little bit different in today's day and age. But offensively, there is no question that he would have been ultra dominant because, again, Michael Jordan's objective was to demoralize you. Like you see LeBron James, and he befriends a lot of people. They get along with each other. He's a high-end competitor. We all get that. We understand that. 260 pounds, locomotive coming at you, but in the same breath, gets along with everybody. Michael Jordan created enemies, and Brad knows this. Michael Jordan would mistreat you the night before. He would do whatever it takes to tug on your strings to get you at peak motivational condition just so you would bring your best. Then he'd go and drop 40 or 50 on you just to demoralize you and show you that he's superior to you. And that's just on the basketball court. Off the basketball court, I'm not even, I can't break rules by telling you the things that he would do to dudes just to get them perturbed and irate and in peak motivational condition to come at him just for the sole express purpose of demoralizing you in such a way that you literally recognized and absorbed the fact that you were completely inferior to him. This is what he did to me on a continuous basis. We can't tell you, Brad can tell y'all, I can't tell y'all over this broadcast the things that Michael Jordan has done to make sure you understood it was him and then there was everybody else. And he did it every night.
Stephen A., I'm curious your take on this. We were having a debate yesterday, it carried into today. We were talking about obviously LeBron, the best Cav ever. We got Kyrie as the second best Cav ever. My man G. Bush said that Kevin Love is the third best Cav ever. I said, you're crazy. I put Price, Doherty, and I would even put Larry Nance maybe ahead of Kevin Love just in their Cavs careers. What say you?
I'm not going to go that far with Doherty and Lance. I would tell you that Love is in the same conversation with them.
Okay.
But definitely Mark Price.
Yeah.
Mark Price was something special. Coming out of Georgia Tech, being a point guard extraordinaire that he was, being the sniper that he was. This brother was special. Mark Price was a bad brother. Make no mistake about it. My brother from another mother, but a brother. This brother was special. and I look at Doherty. Doherty was formidable. He was a good center. You look at a guy like Larry Nance. I mean, he was a skywalker, and we got that. But they benefited from the collective whole, the team that they had assembled with Elo, with Price, with Doherty, with Nance, and these other guys, Lenny Wilkins, coaching them and what have you. Ron Harper was on the squad. They were a special brand. They were a special breed collectively. Nance and Doherty benefited from that. Mark Price could stand on his own and be that guy. Yeah. When you think about it this way, let's go to college route. You know how you looked and you marveled at the superb play and the greatness of a Kenny Anderson, right? When he was at Georgia Tech. Remember, Lethal Weapon 3, Dennis Scott, Brian Oliver and those brothers. Remember, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Before that, he was Chris Jackson. He's at LSU with Stanley Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal. You look at talent like that, right? The Kenny Smiths of the world when he was at North Carolina and stuff like that. Mark Price was right there with all of them as a guy. Bobby Hurley and Duke. Mark Price was right there with all of them. All of them. At Georgia Tech, even though it wasn't Duke, North Carolina, because the brother could play that good. And so I'm just looking at it from that perspective, and I'm telling you that Mark Price is a standalone. Doherty and Nance, as good as they were, benefited from the collective parts around them. Mark Price was a standalone. And so I would not put Kevin Love ahead of Mark Price, but I would put him in the same sentence as a Larry Nance and a Brad Doherty.
All right.
Hey, Stephen A., what do you think? What do you think of Donovan Mitchell so far in Cleveland? Where do you think this is headed?
I'm sick. Every time I see him, I want to throw it. Because
that's the Knicks' fault.
Because he was supposed to be a Knick, and the New York Knicks, with their Bush League tendencies, decide that they want to recruit him and Jalen Brunson like they recruiting for Kentucky, and they show up to the playoff game series between Dallas and Utah, and they sit behind the benches and agitating executives from each respective team. Remember, Dallas filed tampering charges against the Knicks because of Jalen Brunson, and Danny Ainge swore privately to contemporaries it'd be a cold day in hell before he made a deal with the New York Knicks. Wasn't even willing to accept 4 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell. He was so disgusted with how the Knicks did business and ended up giving Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland for a deal similar to what the New York Knicks were offering. And so when you look at that and you see how Jalen Brunson is playing this year, as far as I'm concerned, he's worthy of being an all-star. He's brought the just poise and control and just seamlessness to the New York Knicks offense. Imagine if he had Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt with him. Imagine if he had a go-to guy to give the ball to and say, take me there, because Donovan Mitchell is that guy. He's not a superstar in some people's eyes, but he's a star. He's something special. And for the New York Knicks to hold on to R.J. Barrett just so, and for not Donovan Mitchell, when Donovan Mitchell had every intention and every desire to be a New York Knick, it's very, very sad. I'm happy for him because I love the brother. He's a great player. He's a great dude. The Cavaliers organization is lucky to have him. The city of Cleveland is lucky to have him because y'all got a great sports town there. But as a New York Knicks fan, I'm sick to my stomach every time I watch him. I have yet to be able to watch him for a whole game, and I get paid to watch these games. And I can't watch him for a whole game because every time I see him make a shot, I punch something and say, that was supposed to be a New York Knick. And I get pissed off, and I just get depressed.
You know what's amazing is that, like, Stephen A. Smith is a huge personality, not only nationally, certainly in New York as well. When I was working on The Fan in New York, I was a part-time host, right? Yeah. So I didn't have much traction in New York. Some people knew me, but not anywhere close to me. And the Knicks once ripped Dolan and the Knicks doing a weekend show at 3 p.m. on The Fan. And Dolan called Mark Chernoff to complain. I don't even think he knew my name. To complain that I was ripping him and ripping the Knicks. And I'm like, this is why they're never going to be any good. Because the owner's worried about me ripping his team, right?
Exactly. That's exactly the point. And it's trickled down to Leon Rose. I've known Leon Rose for over 20 years. I respect the man. He was a hell of an agent, hell of an attorney prior to that, a good man. He gets the presidency at the Garden hovering over the Knicks, and suddenly he don't know how to talk to people. Right. Suddenly he's hiding all the damn time. He spent last year, he did an interview in September. Nobody saw him until April, and that was only an in-house interview with the MSG network. Wow. This is the kind of contagious effect that they have. If you can't be accountable to the people as the president of the franchise, how are the players ever going to be? You just know it. And when you see Dolan making these kind of errors, Charles Oakley gets removed from the arena. Some 14-year-old asking him to sell a team gets banned from the arena, and all of this other kind of nonsense. That stuff trickles down to players, which is what makes somebody like Kevin Durant said the notion of being a New York Knick was whack. It just wasn't cool. They're talking about Dolan. And that's the problem with all of this. They're a good team. Tom Thibodeau is an exceptional coach. Jalen Brunson was the right man for the job. Julius Randle can play. R.J. Barrett is no scrub. But the fact of the matter is we all know that the New York Knicks ain't going nowhere. And we know they ain't going anywhere because you need a star to close the deal.
Right.
And they don't have it. And the one star who wanted to come there, they couldn't get because they agitated an opposing team by acting like they were recruiting for a college.
So, Steven, let me ask you a question. Why did the New York faithful, right? Because New York is the mecca of basketball. That's what it is, right? It has to be elevated to a level of that stature. Why did the New York faithful put up with the nonsense that the Knicks are doing? Because
Can't help ourselves.
I don't understand it.
It's like the Browns.
Can't help
right?
ourselves. It's the city. It's the city. It's the mecca. And you try to look past Dolan to look at the New York Knicks, and you love them. But there's no question. Spike Lee is to blame. Stephen A. Smith is to blame, along with various others, because, our loyalty never wavers. And that's our problem. Now, this year, I banned myself from Knicks games because, see, I know Leon Rose, and I know William Wesley, World Wide West.
Right.
And I got love for both of them. And I know that I was on the verge of cursing them out. I know that. So I made it a person because they're going to come to me and challenge my thoughts. And I tell them, listen, Jay knows this about me. You know what? We're all human beings, okay? You have a right to be a fan. Just be honest. Like, you can't go on the air and act like you're something you're not. If you're a fan of this particular team, just tell the world. So everyone knows I'm a Knicks fan, right? I'm not going to be objective when it comes to the Knicks. I might be objective in what I articulate to the audience based on the facts that are presented to me, but I am going to be subjective in how I feel. I'm honest about it. And I'm telling you, no joking aside, the way they came at me for my opinions, I was on the verge of cursing people out. So rather than go to the Garden, when you go into the Garden and they got public relations people and media relations people literally stalking media members to make sure they don't get near the players and stuff like that. Just it's ridiculous. Rather than cuss people out, not just off the air, but on the air, in their face and on the air, I said, you know what? I'm not going to go to the Garden this year. And I haven't been to one single game in Madison Square Garden, even though one of my cribs is 10 minutes away, because I know that I'm going to cuss somebody out. So the only way I'm going to a Knick game this year, the only way I'm going to a Knick game this year is if they advance to some conference finals or the finals, which ain't going to happen, or ESPN forces me to. I made that very, very clear to the bosses, and they understand.
He snuck that in quick. He was like, that's one of my cribs.
Mike, you got something, right?
Yeah, Stephen A., thanks for joining. I got one question I need some clarity on from you. In doing research for this, I saw that you made, in one article, 13, in another article, 17 straight threes in front of your Winston-Salem State coach. 17.
It was never 13. It was 17.
Could you explain
Well,
what
I was brought down to Winston-Salem State University for a tryout. A guy by the name of Harold Funny Kit, who played for Big House Gaines at Winston-Salem State, was a friend of the family's, and he set up a trial for me to go see Coach Gaines. I went down there in 1989, and Coach Gaines saw me on a Sunday afternoon, put me out on the court, and I went out on the court for a few minutes, just passed the ball and stuff like that. He blew the whistle, halted practice, called me over and said, "Ain't you supposed to be a shooter?" I said, "Yes, sir." "Well, goddamn it, shoot it then." and so from that point forward, I shot the ball, and I've never shot like that before or since. I hit 17 straight 3-pointers. I was signed to a scholarship on the spot.
That's beautiful. I love that.
I'm glad we got the clarity.
Hey,
Thanks,
listen, I know you got to run. Before we go, I want to play. You're on first take. I want to play a game of fast take. All right? I'll just rapid fire throw them out there to you. Your all-time worst take is?
I don't know. I never had one.
I swear to God, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Never had one.
The greatest football player you've ever seen?
Primetime Deion Sanders.
Ooh, interesting. I didn't have you going there. Greatest baseball player you've ever seen?
For me, it's Barry Bonds.
Yeah, I don't think many are going to argue with that. Will we ever see you and Skip together on the same screen again in some form? I know contracts get in the way. You have yours. He has his with Fox. Will we ever see you guys team up for something? Because I think the fans need to see that.
I don't believe so. I love Skip. I'm incredibly grateful to him. I don't think that will ever happen. I think that we're just going in separate directions. I have aspirations beyond the world of sports. I mean, if he interviews me for his podcast or I do it for my podcast, that would be different. But us on screen together, working together in a debate format, that's not something that I think is going to happen. I think that both of us have moved beyond that, and I don't see that happening. I've got aspirations beyond the world of sports. I don't think he'll be back at ESPN. If I'm doing sports, I'll probably be here. And if I'm doing more than sports, which I definitely plan on doing, that's not his lane. You know that. Skip cares about sports all day, every day, and very little else.
Well,
so I don't see that happening.
That leads me to my last question, Stephen A. You've done everything that I think you've ever wanted to do, but we just had a text exchange a couple of days ago where we were talking about perhaps something else. Is there something that you haven't done in broadcasting that you want to do in the future?
Well, on my own production company, I want to produce content, scripted and unscripted stuff. I want to continue staying in the world of sports because I love it. I got the bestseller book right now, 4 straight weeks, so I've accomplished that. I would say to you that I would love to host a late night show. I would love to be the modern day Arsenio Hall, for lack of a better explanation. I don't think we've seen that, even though Trevor Noah did a fantastic job on Comedy Central. I think that to see a black man from this country hosting late night with the opportunities that I would be anxious to give to African Americans behind the cameras, writers, producers, bookers, etc. That is something that I haven't ruled out. It's something that I want to accomplish, and I intend to do so. So I would tell you that would be my immediate answer. It's not limited to that. Hosting a news show, people have brought that. For some reason, people think I'm going to run for office. That ain't going to happen. But I was just joking around about that. But then again, if they told me that they wanted me to run for the presidency and that I had a good chance of winning, yeah, I would consider that. But I doubt it.
Well, you are a soap opera star, are you not?
Oh, he's done it all.
Yes.
He's done it all.
Yeah. And I would have more time. I want to do late night, and you know what? I might even get into a little acting. I must admit, I'm starting to get the acting bug, even though I've got a recurring role on the soap opera General Hospital, so I'm doing a little acting. I never cared about it, but too many people have told me that I've got tremendous potential in that platform.
You do.
So I'm giving strong consideration to it, believe it or not.
Very good. You're extremely theatrical. I think you can do that. The name of your, it's always been one of your kind of catchphrases. The name of your talk show at late night, of course, would be At the End of the Day, right? I mean, you love that phrase.
I don't know about that.
At the end of the day. At the end of the day.
Wait a second.
How about late night with Stephen A?
Whatever you want,
works.
bro. Whatever you want.
Stephen A, real quick, before you go, we can't let you get out of here without giving us some embarrassing story about Jay. Can you share anything? We got to have something.
There are none.
No, not embarrassing, but I tell you the time when Jay and I had the most laughs. When Skip Bayless was raving about Tiago Splitter, you know what I'm saying? And he kept talking about he sets a mean pick. I mean, Jay and I couldn't stop laughing. We were laughing. I mean, we spent the whole. I mean, we annoyed him that day because we laughed the whole segment well into the commercial break. We just couldn't stop. Of all the things I expected him to say to me, I did not expect him to come at me with Tiago Splitter and
that's
how
a famous one.
He sets a mean pick.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what he
I did not expect that. So that's me and Jay. That is by far our funniest moment. It was absolutely laughing.
What I most remember about that was Stephen A. in such incredulous disbelief. Skip just kept talking about it. He comes on there and sets a 4, and Stephen A. would let him finish, and then he would go, Tiago
Tiago Splitter.
It was great.
Hilarious. I mean, you got that. Listen, guys, you got Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. Brothers talk about Tiago Splitter. And then talk about him. They talk about 20 rebounds, 5 block shots. Or he brought up 7 picks.
By the way,
it's funny, man. It was funny.
By the way, Stephen A., I enjoyed the Mike and the Mad Dog reunion on your show.
Yeah,
that was really fun.
I'm old school at heart, man. It's like people who paved the way, who did it for us. Give them their flowers, pay their just dues. I mean, the reality is that when we look at the world of talk radio, podcasting, and things of that nature, where would we be if it were not for Mike and the Mad Dog? They jump-started everything. And so the opportunity to give them my platform and to really, really showcase them is something that I thought it was important for me to do, and I was happy to do it.
Yeah, it was great.
Stephen A., before you go, how's this going to end up for Kyrie? How's this going to end up for Kyrie?
He ain't going to lose. How about that? They ain't going to win no damn championship at Dallas.
No, I mean, how's it going to end up for him personally? I mean, because this thing is tracking bad.
Well, listen, I think that he'll be fine. What he's got to reach the conclusion of is no one trusts him. Regardless of our disagreements and our beefs, I've never failed to recognize his greatness as a basketball player. And my issue with him has always been and will remain, nobody's better at missing work than Kyrie Irving. I'm not talking about putting in the work.
Yeah.
I'm talking about showing up to work. When you have Kyrie is the kind of person, if a game is at 7:30, how come it can't be at 7:35? If the game is on a Thursday, why can't it be on a Friday?
Wow.
If the game is at 1 o'clock, why can't it be 7:30? He's averse and allergic to capitulation because he believes his way is the right way and that anyone who disagrees with him just doesn't get it. And regardless of what evidence it has shown him, which has led to him losing out easily on $150 million. Easily. He's lost out on $150 million, if not more. He's just a guy that is thoroughly convinced that he knows so much more than the rest of us. And so because of that, it takes a lot of humility to get to a point where you recognize that you don't, that people are aware of things more than you give them credit for. He's not a bad person. He's not a malicious individual. He doesn't mean to hurt people or anything like that. That's not Kyrie Irving's character. His problem is that he thinks he knows so much more than everybody else. And when he alluded to folks being peons, he meant that. That's who he is. He thinks that people compared to him are peons intellectually. And that is what continues to get him in trouble. That and an unwillingness to capitulate when you have your hand out for somebody else's money. You literally want to get money from other people while being able to tell them what you will and will not do. That's Kyrie, and that is why he finds himself in the situation that he is in.
Summed it up well. Stephen A., the king of sports media. The book is Straight Shooter. It's a New York Times bestseller list. Stephen A., I know you're a busy guy. I know you have a million things on your plate. Thank you so much for taking time with us. Love you, brother, and we'll talk soon.
My brother, man. Love you. Love you, bro. Y'all take care. Pleasure meeting all of y'all. Jay, take care of yourself, my brother.
All right, now.
Absolutely.
All right,
Stephen
thank
A.
you.
Smith.
That was awesome.
If you haven't read the book, guys, get it and read it because he talked about the difficulty in writing some of the things that he wrote, not so much for him but for his siblings. Yeah. It's heavy. It's heavy. He talks in the book about how he used his father and the way he treated him as motivation to become the success that he has become. And it's just really, really, really powerful.
Fascinating that he waited. Like his mom asked him not to say anything before she died.
And he honored that.
And he honored that and waited on
There
that.
was no human on the planet more important to Stephen A. than his mother.
Your mom say something?
Yeah, you know the deal.
Yeah, it's law.
And I love what he said about, because I feel the same way. I love that he said that, because people always say to me, you hate when people disagree with you. I was like, no, I love it, I can argue. And that's exactly what he said.
When you believe in your position so strongly, and he clearly does in every position he takes, he welcomes the confrontation. He welcomes disagreement. He always did it in a he's got humor to him, and Skip does not have that gear. Skip is Mr. Dead Serious.
Yeah.
I always thought that Stephen A's appeal and charm was he's such a likable guy in real life, and he's so funny in real life that he disarms you sometimes with his humor, like he did with Skip in the Tiago Splitter. Skip was dead serious when talking about.
I remember watching that. When he brought that up, I was like, oh, my God, that was one of the funniest things I ever saw.
It was off the rails.
Tiago.
It was just off the rails because it was ridiculous. But Stephen A. he's self-deprecating. Skip is not. He's funny.
Yeah.
And I think, to your point about welcoming the disagreement, I knew when I asked him your worst take, I knew he would say, I've never had a bad take. Because in his mind, he firmly believes all of them.
Yeah. I've always, since I knew I was working with Jay, I try not to ask too many questions about people in their personal lives or whatever happens. But the first thing I said when we talked about Stephen A, I said, man, you say whatever you want to, man. Man, Stephen A was the first dude that was out there that made you feel like you can get it. I'm like, man, for me, I love seeing other people out there. I need you to make as much money as you can, because he just made a $9 or $15 million lane for people to come behind that and see.
It never existed before.
That don't exist, right?
Yeah.
Like, you look at his story and some of the things that he said in some of the different places. He from being here to being demoted to promoted to having to go do a show to a podcast, like all these other things before you get to here. And a lot of times people don't be seeing your work. Your work is like an iceberg. Right. You don't see that huge stack of work. They just see that little couple years in that headline. So, man, he paid the way to get.
The iceberg analogy is good. Most of it's underwater, and you never see it. You just see
that was great.
The part on top.
Good job out of you getting them on, Jay.
No,
Jay,
we've been working on it forever.
Yeah.
Typically, ESPN isn't nuts about their personalities coming on any other platforms, which I think is, and I thought it then and I said it then, it's short-sighted and it's ridiculous. Then there are guys like Herb Street who have done this for me a number of times on other platforms, and Stephen A. that really just don't care. And the other thing is they will allow someone who's written a book to obviously go out and publicize it. Stephen A's been doing a lot of interviews over the last month. Yeah. And it's just been a timing issue for us. His show is on from 10 to noon, obviously.
Right, sure.
So it was tough to get him on. I'm glad we finally did. And he was as good as I thought he would be.
He was awesome. We got to get one read in here, then we're going to do some fence questions and let Brad tackle what Stephen A talked about, which is the Kevin Love old school thing. But first, we got to talk about our good friends at PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? Well, PCC Airfoils is the place for you. They have all job openings at all their sites in Northeast Ohio, including Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva. And their positions start at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We had an internet comment earlier from my man Mike H. He said, I wonder if we could trade Jimmy and D for Peyton Manning's ownership group. And on behalf of the chat, we want Tyler Lockett. So that was their big free agent
I'd take Tyler
trade
too.
Signing thing as well. And we had some random person named Earl Maldine chime in the chat. And he wants to let Brad know that the radio host he couldn't think of earlier was KJ Wright.
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't think of it.
Right. Very good.
That's right. Thank you, Earl.
By the way, Stephen A's answer on the Knicks resonated with us because it was a great question. Why is it that this nonsense continues? The fans keep putting up with it. It's the same thing with the Browns.
When you said that, I was like,
we can't help
that's
ourselves.
the same thing.
When you're a diehard fan base, you're hooked. I mean, that's it. I love when people say, well, I'm just going to root for another team. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Because you're always.
If you are, and you have that ability, you were never a fan in the first place.
You're always waiting for your
fan is short for fanatical.
You're always waiting for your day to come. You're thinking it's coming. It's coming. It's coming, right?
Oh. That was
rim.
Like if you told, I'm sitting here, and no matter how bad your team is from the year prior, you just count down in your head to okay, if they told you tomorrow they was gonna put pads on,
man,
let me tell you something.
The silly things going on in Madison Square Garden are ridiculous.
Well, one of the things he didn't even mention was the facial recognition.
Charles Oakley told me the whole scenario about what happened.
With Charles.
He said as soon as he got in the building, they surrounded him.
He was escorted out.
We got to get Charles on.
I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, could we get I bet Charles would come on.
Oh, yeah.
Does he live in Cleveland?
No, he lives in between Chicago and Atlanta. But I tell you what, he's going to give you the full story.
Well, I need
I know he will.
Jay has delivered. I shall mark you off my list.
Now it's my turn. I'm on mine.
You bring Charles to the show. That'll be a hot show.
Hold on,
I
Jay.
want Isaiah Thomas. I want Zeke.
Yeah,
he
we want Zeke.
He brings that
Let's
fire.
start with
He's one of my
Oakley and then work our way up.
Zeke or Michael? Shoot for the stars. We land on the moon.
I just text Zeke Friday
Hey,
about
look,
this show.
Did you?
need
I
Zeke.
did. Yeah,
What'd he say?
He's one of my
I
favorite.
didn't respond. Hey, I got the answer yet. But I said I need you on a Monday or Friday.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
tell me what's happening here.
Nice. Very nice.
He's one of my favorite
That would be
interviews.
cool.
He tells it like it is, man.
He'd be great.
By the way, he did say something on one of the shorts. By the way, check out our shorts on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We put up shorts every day. Make sure you like those too. Zeke said, "Hey, I'm the only one that beat the Celtics when the Celtics was rocking. I'm the only one that beat Michael in his prime, and I got the Lakers
Oh,
up
no,
out here."
Zeke's now living in his truth because Zeke would just he politicized it. I mean, he just played it, kept it safe and neutral.
Is he doing this now? I got a theory on it. He got sick of taking punches
He's just
from
going to
Michael.
punches. He's tired.
And now he's going to swing back. That's what it looks like from a
He's
distance.
tired.
And you know what? Good for him.
I mean,
He's good for him.
Because other people are painting a narrative of him.
Yes, and he's sitting back letting them do it. It's time that he speaks his own
It's not
truth
just the
and-
Michael stuff. He got hit because of what he said about Bird back
Of
in the
course,
day.
of course.
And then the Michael stuff.
But he is right.
But he should have been on that
In
Olympics.
his prime, he got Bird out of here. He beat Magic in his prime, and he beat Michael Jordan. So I
And there's
mean,
nobody else that can
and
come
he did
close
it
to saying
back to
that.
back. Ain't nobody saying that.
Yeah, he's
That's true.
He
You guys ready
deserves
for
it.
some fence riders? We're going to run
Let's
through
do
these
it.
quickly. We
Let's
got
do
10 minutes because I want to spend the last 5 minutes on Kevin Love and Brad's take on old school versus new school. So we're going to run through these quickly. The first one was unanimous. Can the Cleveland Cavaliers catch the Milwaukee Bucks in the standings? And all of us.
Of course not.
It was
whole
kind of a bad
Whole
question
squad. Yeah, that's
because can is such a weird
Will they?
can. Well,
Yeah.
of course they can.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, if
yeah.
Giannis gets hurt, but will they is
Yeah.
an easier answer, and I don't see a path to them. I mean, they're 5 games out,
Yeah.
and the
you're not
head-to-head
making up 5
matchups, I know they've
games.
beaten Milwaukee,
No,
but
they got a favorable schedule in the second half of the season, but I mean that's a heavy lift.
Making up 5
yeah,
games
that's
is a
tough.
lot.
And making up 5 is a lot. I don't
that's a
see
heavy-
them.
That's a heavy lift.
I don't see them losing enough for the Cavs to make up 5.
Right.
All right.
That was our only unanimous answer, so the rest of them will be a little back and forth. Question number 2. Will the Joker win his 3rd straight NBA MVP award? 3 people said yes, and none of them are here today. All 4 of you said no.
Oh, you know what?
By the way, he's a big
I
favorite.
got that
to win
wrong.
it.
I was a yes on that. That's my bad.
So, Jay,
Yes, he will because he deserves it.
I agree.
No other player has done it, which is fascinating to
No,
me.
that's not true.
No,
Won
There's
3
been
straight
3-time
MVPs?
MVPs.
Bird,
Three in a row. 3 in a
Bird
row.
won 3 in a row. I thought.
No one's ever done it.
No
one's ever done it.
Double
Nash
check that.
won back to back, and it was like
Nash
it?
did
Bill
it.
Russell.
Michael Jordan did it twice. LeBron James did it
I
twice.
thought-
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I
No,
think,
three
did it twice.
players have won 3
Bird,
straight
Bill
MVPs.
Russell.
Larry
Really?
Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, and Bill Russell.
Yes.
Wow, 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Jokic
then I
is-
stand
Joker's
way
trying to be the
corrected.
4th player to do it.
I thought it had not been done.
Man, that's so hard, man. It's so
He deserves
hard.
it. If it goes to the best,
My God.
dude, he's averaging a triple-double. His team is right
in
now,
the
I
West.
think, the 2nd or 3rd best record in the NBA, but
First
they're
in the
they're
West.
first in the West.
3rd in the league, 1st in the West.
What is Embiid, who is much better defensively, averaging?
30 points.
Embiid
and
is
10
2nd in the league in points at 33.1.
game.
As far as rebounds go, give me 1 sec. I'm pulling this up here. He's not top 5 in rebounds, but neither is Joker. Joker averages more rebounds, 11.5 versus 10.7, so essentially the same.
Yeah.
And in blocks, let's see, where's Embiid's at 1.5, and Jokic is just under 1. So
I mean, I think it's neck and neck between the two of them.
and Giannis is right in that same category.
Yeah, he's in that group for sure. But
I
he's-
would vote for him.
He's going to average a triple-double. Russell Westbrook and Oscar Robertson are the only 2 that's ever done that. And what he's doing collectively, it's most valuable player. Denver is going to probably land in the 1 slot in the West. Right now, they have a healthy lead over everybody. Aren't they up like 4 or 5 games?
Here's my problem with it.
They're up by a few games. Yeah.
It's not the fact that he probably don't deserve it, but the way that the writers have done it for so many years, it devalues it because I look back and say Kobe got 1 ring. LeBron could have had 10. He could have won it 10 years in a row. Like, it's just, I don't know what they're...
Same thing with Michael.
Yeah, same thing with Jordan. It's not to me, I don't like the most valuable player. My thing is, who had the best season? Who had the best season?
Jay's argument that Jokic is having the best season.
Yeah,
and you could certainly argue that. I would say Embiid because he's much better than Jokic defensively, and he's
More
just
all
as
around,
good
yeah.
as scoring
But
and
the
rebounding.
triple-double, the averaging a triple-double
At a center is tough because he's a center and he's getting all them assists. That's
He has
crazy.
more than 100% more triple doubles. He has 21 on the season. The next most in the year is 10.
Be
So
clear.
he's got 11
So
more triple doubles.
so
than
they-
anyone
That's
else
just
in the league.
nuts.
If they give 3 MVPs to somebody, it's going to be a person that's well known. You're not going to be in a market like Denver. It's not going to happen.
So who do you think is going to win?
So I think Embiid has a good chance at it, right?
Yeah.
And so the other thing I'll tell you is this, that Embiid Denver at the end of the day is going nowhere, right? They're going nowhere.
Yeah.
They've got a 5-game lead on the second-place team.
So
They choke every year in the playoffs. I
Denver's
know that has
the
nothing to do
Well,
with
no,
the MVP,
it's a regular
but-
season
Den-
award, and it'll be voted on before
Yeah.
the playoffs even start.
Denver's going nowhere, and if you're paying attention, what Embiid is doing is phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
No, it's unquestionably phenomenal. And Giannis, too.
Yeah.
It's funny that, and this last point, move on.
Yeah.
Giannis didn't win his third straight because of voter fatigue, and now
Well,
no one
that's-
seems to have voter fatigue with Jokic.
Which is interesting to me.
It is. Just
Well,
throwing
we
it out
don't
there.
know that, Mike.
Well, we don't know, but I'm just saying.
it was
There are website sites, though, that track it during the season, and he's winning, I think, in the 2 that I looked at.
He's on everyone you can find. He is right now the betting favorite and the prohibited NBA MVP ladder. He is number 1. Then Giannis is 2, and Embiid's 3 right now.
Right.
Top 3. So, okay, now question number 3. Are the Boston Celtics the best team in the NBA? A split panel here. Bull, G, and Brad all say no.
I like him.
So why?
like him to win it all.
Why, Jay?
I think they got the better all-around team. I like Milwaukee. I like Giannis. And there are times when I watch Giannis, and we've talked about this on the show, where I think he's the most unstoppable player in the league.
So let me ask you think and Tatum and Brown that well?
Listen. I think that there's been so much hate and disrespect on these guys. We're going to find out what their medal is.
Mm-hmm.
Are they gold or are they fool's gold? Because I think that's going to motivate them to win it this year. But, I mean, gosh, when I look at just the entire package, the whole team, I don't know what their weakness is. And I just think, are they one up or they're one down?
They're one up on Milwaukee.
Okay, they're one up on Milwaukee right now. I just think they're going to do it.
I think Milwaukee's
this
the
is
best
year.
team.
The one thing I see in Tatum's issue is that sometimes he freezes in the moment. He doesn't really realize that I'm supposed to be that dude. And
there is some of that.
There's some of that.
And that's a little bit of trepidation. I don't think Milwaukee has the help that Giannis needs. And I agree with you. I think it's either going to be Boston or Milwaukee. I don't think whoever comes out of the West, I don't think they're going to win.
This is a pick 'em. This year is up for grabs. Let me tell you that. I think that there could be a sleeper team that get in the finals. I don't see a prohibited
Certainly in the West,
favorite.
there could be.
Well, I would tell you that I'm quite interested to see what this new Phoenix team looks
I am
like.
too.
That's true.
Very
And even,
interested
you know, the
to see what this
Lakers
looks
too.
like.
I'm interested
Yeah, that's not
to see.
bad. That little
Yeah.
resurrection
Yeah.
over
I
there is
know.
not.
They
It's
added
not
some
bad.
good players.
And I wouldn't want to play LeBron
But-
and the Lakers
And then
in the
I saw.
playoffs.
Then I saw today that maybe Westbrook and Kevin Love could be heading to Miami. I
Oh,
just
that
saw
could be
that.
interesting. The UCLA team up.
But you're right. I think Brad's right, though. If it's a big if, but if Durant and Paul and Booker all stay healthy for the playoffs,
You got
it's going to
something.
be a hard team
Yeah,
to
they're
beat.
gonna be a tough out.
And Ayton, you're talking about
he's
something
their
Yeah,
fourth
that's
here.
true.
best
That's
guy.
a
Legit.
tough out.
Yeah.
All right,
All right,
next,
question
what's
number
next?
4. And we're going to run through these next ones very quickly. Brad, this is your point. We'll move on after. Will there be a report that Luka and Kyrie don't see eye to eye before the end of the season? Brad, you said yes, there will be, while the majority of people said no.
I thought I said
Well,
yes.
Let me tell.
He was like, yeah, hold on.
Let me tell you why I say that. Because every time I think
History.
every time I think that this has calmed down, it's always something, right? It was just like the other day. Kyrie had the tape on the shoes with the slogan at the bottom. It's always something. Like
A lot of drama.
It's, you bring it to yourself,
And it's
right?
what Stephen A. said.
You
He
bring
is
it-
the smartest guy in the room.
You bring it
Just
to
ask
yourself
him.
every time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me to sit here today and think that it's not going to occur is when you're always lulled to sleep, and the next thing it does, it explodes. Just
I'm
like
a yes, too,
Brooklyn
Mike.
thought
I
they were.
meant to say
Brooklyn
yes.
thought they were on their way here.
He's going to end up starting to refer. He'll refer. He's one of them dudes that's a habitual line stepper. He'll start referring to himself as, yeah, this is me and Luka's team. And you'd be like, hold on, bro. Like, you just slid that in there like we didn't catch that.
Yeah.
We put that in subtitles or something. You know, what are you talking about? This is our team and how we need to move with it. See, it's not going to work because everybody knows who's the leader of the Mavs is Mark Cuban.
That's true.
Like, you can't get that, for better or worse, you ain't never going to be able to get the last laugh on Mark Cuban. You know what it is. So, yeah, he'll say something corny and crazy, but
You think so too, huh?
Oh, yeah, I do. Kyrie just can't help himself.
I just think that after putting his hand on the hot stove so many times, at some point, he's not dumb. He is not dumb. A lot of people think he is.
No, he's not.
He is intellectual, and he's not dumb. He just does dumb things. I think those kind of people eventually see a light. Now, I know Stephen A. said
I think he's a faux intellectual.
Now, I do think that by next October, he'll ask for a trade. And there will be a beef. But I think he's going to be on his best behavior.
He's a free agent.
Oh, okay, that's right. So he'll be on his best behavior for this year because he needs to get paid.
Yep. All right, next question. You guys mentioned the Phoenix Suns. They are currently 4.5 games behind Memphis for the 2 seed in the West. Will they finish the season as a top 2 seed? Another split answer here. And you guys say yes. That is Jay, Jason, and Bull. G, Brad, and myself, and Tyvis say no.
It's going to take some time.
Yeah,
it'll take a little time.
And Durant's still hurt. Durant's still hurt.
That's a heavy lift.
Yeah, but by the playoffs, they'll be scared.
You just want to be in the playoff
They'll scare.
scenario.
They'll be scared.
All right, I don't think getting to the 2 seed is important. It's just like, let me just get primed and ready for
I
the
just
run.
like the 2 seed because it gives you 2 home series, and you don't really want to go on the road.
But in the end, it's veteran stars.
Yeah, when you got enough firepower, you can go on the road.
Chris Paul, if you don't get it done
LeBron
now,
never really seemed like never cared about what seed he was.
If
Right?
No, he didn't.
If Chris Paul cannot get it,
Oh, my God.
Chris Paul done played with some of the best players ever. If you can't get it done with KD and Booker,
He's gotten hurt in the playoffs all the time. That's the problem.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Last one, Mikey.
Last one real quick. And I'm the only one said no here, but will Donovan Mitchell finish the season as a top 10 MVP candidate? I'll explain my rationale.
I got him 10th.
I have 10th too.
He is currently 16th on the NBA MVP ladder.
Yep.
So he's got to climb over
Well,
6
that's
people.
one person's opinion, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the NBA writer, NBA.com panel of writers voters, like they're.
Yeah, but I think he'll get into top 10. I do.
We don't have to argue.
He deserves to be
Brad,
in the top
while-
10.
while we
Okay,
have
let's
3 minutes left,
let's go.
Educate young G.
Well, so G's on this thing about Kevin Love being top 3. You heard Stephen A. talk about it. So no disrespect to Kevin Love. I think he had a nice career here in Cleveland. But be clear, he is not one of the top 3 Cavaliers of all time. You know, if you talk about LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, let's just go down to the old school list. You've got, people forgot about World B. Free when he was here.
Bingo Smith.
He was not here a long time, though, right?
But the years he was here,
Oh, he was something.
World B. Free salvaged this franchise.
Can you imagine
here.
if he played in the 3-point era,
Yeah, oh my God.
like where
Oh my God.
you're jacking up 10 a game?
I said, now here, I'll take you even deeper. Did you think about Mike Mitchell when he was here?
That's right.
Austin Carr.
AC?
Yep.
I said, you talking about some heavy lifting here, son. What are you talking about here? You're talking about Kevin Love is above these people? No.
Kevin Love had a better career than them.
Here?
Kevin Love had, it's debatable here.
Here?
But Kevin Love overall
You're
had a
talking
better
about
career.
overall. We talking about here in Cleveland.
Well, here's what we got to decide. The older generation has to decide whether y'all value rings or you don't value
I
rings.
do.
If you value rings, you would say Kevin Love played against a team that had the greatest team of all time. 72 wins. They came back down from 3-1. He averaged a double-double, 5-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA. He's second in three-point shots. I know y'all like Mark Price, but Kevin Love has actually hit more than that.
Well, Robert Ory's got a ton of rings, too.
If I did a number of stats, I could camouflage you too. His career is not better than World B. Freeze here. It's not, right? And Mike Mitchell's a numerous All-Star here. It's not better than Mike Mitchell's career here in Cleveland.
Wow, I would have him above Mike Mitchell.
I'm talking about Mike Mitchell carried a franchise here. This thing at the Coliseum was on deathbed here.
It was
on a deathbed. He carried his franchise. And then he left here and went down to San Antonio and still got busy.
And by the way, Kevin Love played low-key 10 years here. His career is longer than Brad Daugherty's. Like his career.
Right, but
I think Brad played 9 years too.
I mean,
Love played
Larry
9.
Nance played 8, I think, or 7.
I thought he was at 9. I know it was too short.
So Brad and Larry are part of a collective, right?
Right.
A collective. Kevin is a part of a collective.
See, I know that
the other two that I named, they carried a franchise. There's a difference.
Hey, let me give you this stat. How many playoff wins does Kevin Love have without LeBron?
Ooh.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know that.
Probably slim.
Zero.
I'll
Yeah.
probably
How many
say.
championships does Cleveland have without LeBron? Zero. Well,
Yeah.
LeBron's pretty
You don't
important
get
around
you
here.
don't get the ring. To me, the getting credit for the rings is only about the best player on the team. Maybe the second,
we
not
can't-
the third and beyond.
Hey, listen, Jay. Hey, listen.
It's the Big Three era.
Hey, man, listen. It's the Big Three era. But I'm gonna take every championship ring that come with UCSS.
That's right.
And here,
Overtime next.
Again, that's no slight to Kevin Love. No slight to Kevin Love. at
No
all.
slight to the
Kevin
NBA
Love.
players and the
We're
radio
done.
veterans.
Overtime.
Peace. I'm cashing them checks.
Kool-Aid drinkers.
Splitter.
Kool-Aid drinkers.